Who's on your hat?
The Orioles
Oh, okay.
baseball team. All you, brother.
All right. What's good? Welcome back to Superherocuts. It's your boy, Stevie, Jerry. I am a little late to pull up the docket, so give me a second. Oh, fuck. I fucked up.
You good, brother?
Hold on. Let me just get it off my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a nice docket today. All right, we got a nice docket. So here's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We got, is this the new look for Robert Downey Jr., for Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom? We're going to be talking about the Superman sneak peek, why Moon Knight should or shouldn't be in Avengers Doomsday, Marvel Studios looking for a certain actor for Spider-Man 4. We think we know who the villain is. Why Zack Snyder's DCEU movies are not comic accurate. By the way, it was always dumb that they called it the DCEU. Okay, let's get that out there. That was always stupid. Are people criticizing Superman, and is it a Superman issue or is it a James Gunn issue? Ryan Coogler got asked some questions about recasting T'Challa, and we're going to get into that. Aaron Pierre, John Stewart Lantern's set photo surfaces. What Marvel Studios should have done or should do with the Eternals after Secret Wars. Insomniac finally gives an update on the long-anticipated Wolverine game. Luke Skywalker is rumored to be in Ahsoka season 2, and Jesse Plemons. I love Jesse. Pause. But Jesse's a great actor. Is he going to be the next Star Wars big bad villain? All right, here we go. Stevie, how you doing?
Yo, what up, Jalen? Yo, so Jerry, I think this intro is inspired by you with your inferior comment. I really do. This is like stay ready for my arrival worms. This is just something that I think like this is like in your like what's up my inferior type of thing. I love it.
Oh, you think Jalen took some inspiration?
I think this is the comic cuts effect, bro. I think it's permeating our space right now.
You know what's funny is lately I get so many comments that are people commenting on my threads, things that I've already said on the podcast. Okay, so you want to talk about influence? Come talk to me when your comments are all things that you've already said.
Yeah, bro. Like,
stop playing.
I just think that like maybe in like the next year around Doomsday, there's gonna be like a group. I feel like there's gonna be a group of like 40 people that's just saying the same things that you're saying. Like we're gonna get the inferior comments and all this stuff, and like we're gonna have our own like mini like army.
For sure.
Army.
I just want to say, and I'm gonna say it a couple times because I know they're gonna be popping in. I know my haters are influenced by me. I know you're watching the show. I know you're reading the comics that I talk about. So I just wanted to say, I see you, and I know especially the one that love to deny that he bit my content. Oh, bro, it is so apparent. Like, I see that.
Also, Jerry, peep this comment.
Hold the fucking phone. Where did you get that F for? I think he meant hat.
Yeah, the hat. Yeah.
The hat. I don't know. Should I tell him?
So no, only because like we should do like a giveaway or something.
Yeah.
We're going to save it. We're going to save it.
Isn't this your boy though?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry, Jalen. Sorry.
Yeah, Jalen. We're going to keep that under wraps only because, man, I think we should do a giveaway with the hat because that John is gas.
Yeah,
that is my favorite hat I've seen so far with Fantastic Four on it. By the way.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe later on in the show today. We'll just give it a shout out because it is a dope hat. And it's funny because I was looking for the Fantastic Four hat because I saw like one online and it got posted basically, and it was a Marvel official hat. This isn't a Marvel official hat, but the Marvel official one sucked. But I wanted a Fantastic Four hat after seeing that. And what I learned, and I'm not going to get into how I learned it, but basically there's people that work at these companies with IP, and they have to approve the designs. And to justify their job, they don't approve all the good designs. It's a long story, but anyway, so that's why you got to go to you got to know where to look, and it's not Marvel merchandise. But whatever, let's get into it. First thing on the docket, what was it? I think it was
RDJ.
Okay,
so yeah.
Stevie, why don't you take it off?
So this shook up the fan base yesterday, which is hilarious. So first off, want to say happy birthday to RDJ. He just turned 60 years old, man. It's crazy. I can't believe he's 60. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But he had a birthday party, and there were like 3 pictures that surfaced. The first picture was obviously his birthday card, which was a photo of him in a Iron Man inspired type of mask with like with the green Doctor Doom costume with the hair and the magic coming from his hands.
It was like a retro style Marvel Comics comic book cover. And it was cool, but it wasn't like as cool as it was. I think it would have been the big picture of the weekend if it had his actual Doctor Doom design, and B, I just don't think his costume looked that cool on that comic book cover. And now everyone's talking about his haircut, because the haircut is, I think we got to throw it up on the screen because you can't really see it. It's in the thumbnail behind me and Stevie in the center. You could kind of see it, but let's blow the photo up so everyone can see what we're talking about.
1 second, boss. Getting that up. Party people.
People.
So here is a picture of RDJ with his new look. And he looks very different than usual.
Could you get the other photo though?
Yeah,
let me send it to you.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to remove you. I got it right. I think you DM'd it to me. I got it right here.
Yeah, this one.
Oh wait, I have our text right on my
I just resent it.
Thank you, brother.
Yep.
All right. All right, let me pull this up here. Shit, stop screen. 1 second, y'all. Oh wait, that's going to show all of my text. Don't want to do that. Oh my god, that would have been bad. All right.
Especially with my haters.
I'm dying. Oh my gosh. All right, there we go.
I should get another hat that says "Hi haters." I know or influencing the haters.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Present. There we go. Boom. So here's a better photo of RDJ's new haircut. He's posing with some, I think it's a fan or something that he's I
don't know if it's a fan because and you can't really see his like apron or whatever he's wearing behind the title text, but he's wearing something like an apron and it looked very Romanian, Latvian, and it gave me super Latveria vibes. But I think they're filming in London, and you know, I wrote on Threads, I was like, I said something to the effect that he looks very Latvian, and he does. Of course, someone tried to get smart with me about it, but he definitely looks Latvian. And if you ever read any comics with Doctor Doom and, been in Latveria, especially like Books of Doom or the, Mark Waid Unthinkable Prologue, things like that, you get a feel for Latveria and its people. You could see that he has a very Latvian style, and he does look like the Doctor Doom we have on our thumbnail that's directly behind me and Steven. You could get a good visual of that right now. We're only covering half, so you should be able to get the idea. And Yeah, I think this is great. The only thing that's kind of funny is like he just looks like he's having fun, which is cool. It's his birthday. I want to see him being like savage, but we're not going to criticize the king for having fun on his 60th birthday while he returned to his MCU castle.
I just find it funny how and like this is where common sense kicks in, right? Because you and I were texting about it, and we're like, "Yo, this is cool." Because you and I expected this, right? We knew that because he was Victor Von Doom, right? That there was going to be a change in hairstyle, and that they were going to make certain changes to his looks. And a lot of people thought that this was just going to be a Tony Stark, like just press on, that he's going to have the same haircut, the same hairstyle, he's going to look the exact same, and we're just going to throw him into a Doctor Doom mask. And obviously, and to be honest, bro, and I'm not even trying to be dramatic, he looks like a whole different person in this. Like, it doesn't look like Tony Stark. I'm saying, like, it doesn't look like Tony Stark whatsoever. Like, he looks like a whole different dude.
Because I said from day one, he's playing Victor Von Doom. Don't let the announcement break your brains. And he is not going to look like Tony Stark when he's playing Victor Von Doom, other than the fact that his facial features are going to be identical because you can't change that. But he's not going to be Tony Stark. And it's like, I've already seen people that have like really rode that wave that are starting to pretend they never did.
100%. 100%.
Because it was stupid. It was such a stupid thing. And there's so many dumb theories. And it's just like so aggravating. But, is what it is. What are you going to do? You can't fix stupid.
I also think like it disrespects Doctor Doom as a character to think that you're going to skip over Victor Von Doom and go to a whole other scenario. And that's what I don't like, and when you, and Jerry basically forced me to read a bunch of Doctor Doom stuff. So after reading it, it really makes me mad because like y'all are trying to disrespect Victor Von Doom. Like he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. And he is just that character that like once you get to know, you just want more of. He is just incredible. And he's one of the greatest fictional characters of all time. So it's awesome that we're getting him. And, Marvel is like, yeah, they make some mistakes. Like they're doing Shalabal and not Norrin Rad. And, not to say that Norrin Rad isn't iconic because he is, but Doctor Doom is literally the biggest villain in all of Marvel. And like people thought that they were going to give us a weird, like obscure alternate version. That is just so crazy. As much as I would love to see Infamous Iron Man at some point, I think that the right move is obviously to do Victor Von Doom as Doctor Doom. And who knows, maybe down the line they'll do something like Infamous Iron Man and put him on the Avengers, and and then he goes bad again because you can't have Victor Von Doom stay a hero because that's just not who he is.
Yeah. I also and when you tell me
what Doom comics have you read?
Books of Doom, the Ed one that came out in 2005 to 2006 run. Yep. One of the things about it that I loved though, Jerry, was obviously one of the main things about Doom, which I obviously knew, but Brubaker kind of dives a little bit deeper into it about how you get to see Doom's relationship with science and magic, and kind of and I was kind of thinking about this through my like regular fan brain, right? And I was saying like for someone who only watches MCU content, like when they see Doctor Doom on screen, I can see a lot of people saying, "Yo, this is like," and I'm not saying that this is accurate, but I think that it's going to make. But I think fans are going to use this to try to relate to Doctor Doom. A lot of fans are going to say, "Oh my gosh, like he has powers like Doctor Strange, but he's like as smart as Reed," And it's like, what happens when you mix those two powers into one person and they're evil, And when I read Books of Doom, like it kind of made me respect Doctor Doom more as a sorcerer, if that makes sense. Because I'm going to be honest, bro, like. I didn't really respect Doom as a sorcerer, but I respected him as a scientific mind, if that makes sense. And another thing, bro, his mom, the death of his mother, bro, it really jacked him up, dude. It
Yeah.
jacked him up bad. And like, and as I said, like when you watch a comics explained video or whatever, like it's like you see that, but when you read it for yourself, like you really get to see how, I guess, challenged he actually is with his mom's death.
Yeah, and and how they treated his father and how that impacted him, and his relationship with I forget his, like, the girl he loved, his name. What's up, Smiles Frown? And but and that was really interesting, and how he kind of like, wants her back, and then she gets back with him, and then he's just like, I can't, because if I stay with you, you're going to hold me back on who I'm supposed to be. And that was really interesting too, because it was super savage. And it's kind of in a way similar to James Bond, how he was with women after, after Vesper Lynn in Casino Royale. And I think that we should talk about that more on the new channel that we're doing with Spectrum. But like a lot of people, I think that would make them see James Bond a little more accurately than they do. I think most people have a surface level understanding of James Bond. He's actually a much deeper character. And Dr. Doom, I think, it's interesting because with Dr. Doom, there's a lot of people that like, they don't really know anything about him, but they're super hyped about him, just because they understand how big of a character he is, and they know it means big things for the MCU, but just on the way we talk about someone like him. And, I think if you read comics, like, you don't have a surface level understanding of Dr. Doom. The Marvel comics do a really good job of the complexities of the character, how he's very ego driven, where he really counts his ego. So I think that this is going to be a much different type of character for Robert Downey Jr. And I really hope that they don't, like, I just don't think it's the second they say, oh, you look like Iron Man, like, it's going to make it feel silly. I just think that's stupid. I think a lot of people want that just because it broke their brain, and I think it's a stupid thing to want. But I can't wait to see him, and I really, really hope that we see him before Avengers Doomsday. And that brings me to something I've been thinking about. So say we were to see him before Doomsday, which I think we should. But when I think about it like that, I'm like, where would we see him? And the only place that, based on the MCU slate right now, that I think makes sense is the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. But at the same time, I think we need to see more of him than just a post-credit scene before Avengers Doomsday.
I agree. And this is why reading comics is so crazy, because I do, like, when I read books of Doom, like when you read after he got expelled from school, and then she goes to those monks, right? And he's kind of learning about spirituality, and his physical was healing as well. I feel like there was a lot of ways that you could have, introduced him in those areas. But you're right, though. We definitely do have to see Doom. And I mean, the only project where I think it works right now, bro, is the Fantastic Four. He has to, I think he kind of has to pop up. And, you and I have talked about cameos, but yeah, I do think Doom has to pop up before. And I mean, even with Thanos, right? Like, we didn't really see Thanos that much, but like, we still got to see him saying, like, fine, I'll do it myself, or whatever he said, right? Yeah. And then you end Thor with just a random ship popping up, and the movie ends. Like, it's Thanos at that point. So I definitely feel like you have to have him pop up to show the influence of Dr. Doom in the MCU somehow.
What I'm thinking is, if I were Kevin Feige, and we should have spoke. Did you look at the tweets I sent you from Bo DeMaio? That was
but see, but I don't,
because I want to talk about that, but I don't want to go on a tangent on this. if I were Kevin Feige, and that's why I was thinking, it was like, it's not really Kevin Feige, but if I were Kevin Feige and I were calling the shots, I think, and you know me, listen, I'm a very creative person. I'm not stupid, but I don't consider I think a lot of fans think of themselves as not fans and they think of themselves as Kevin Feige. I don't do that. Okay. So it's very rare I am saying what I think they should do in this type of a decision. But in breaking tradition, what I would do if I were Kevin Feige on this is I would do a special, and I wouldn't go out of my way to say it's special, but I would give a longer post-credit scene, like maybe a 3 or 4 minute post-credit scene, maybe even 5, but I think 3 or 4 would be enough, of Doctor Doom. Like, introduce people to Doctor Doom, because you have a lot of fans. It's got to be 90% or more of MCU fans don't read comics. So I think that, introduce the fans to Doctor Doom and let them have a better understanding of who the character is. And you don't really have to dive big into plot to do that in a post-credit scene. You could just do a simple interaction with him that introduces fans to the character and gives them a better understanding of him, if that makes sense. I think it does.
I agree. I do think they should go longer. I also would like a Disney Plus special, kind of like how they've done with all of the other films. And I would
that would be crazy though.
Yeah. So and this isn't in a Disney Plus special isn't like a plot or movie, but I did really like the Captain America Brave New World Disney Plus special, because you just get a behind the scenes of the film, and you just get to see certain shots that they didn't put.
Oh, I thought you meant a
movie.
special presentation.
Nah. I just mean just like a behind the scenes special, because you get to kind of just see the heart that was behind Captain America Brave New World. You know what I mean? And someone like my pops, who wasn't very fond of it, when he watched that, it made him want to go see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that if you did a RDJ Doctor Doom Disney Plus behind the scenes special, I think that would do a lot for fans, where you can get the Russo brothers not even giving spoilers, but just telling us how they got to this point of wanting to see Doctor Doom. I think that fans deserve that. And that is one thing that I love from James Gunn's press run, is that, James Gunn does talk a lot, but one of the things that I love, James Gunn doesn't just yap, James Gunn is telling us what got him to these thoughts. What was the inspiration behind, Crypto, the super dog, and, and all that stuff. And I personally really appreciate that, because a lot of directors like Greta Gerwig, who's trying to cast a girl to be Aslam anyways. But a lot of these people make stupid or a lot of these directors make decisions with no explanation. You know what I mean? And so I would love to just see how they got there.
I think it's very obvious that Greta Gerwig is, super political, and I'm not surprised that she is doing that. I think it comes with the territory for someone like that. And listen, I'm very political too, but I also don't bring that into my profession. I don't bring that, and I only talk about it on the podcast when I think it is something
when the line
this.
is being crossed.
Yeah. And I feel the same way that you do about Narnia, about Shalabal, and I think it's absolutely insane. And to me, when you, as talented as Greta Gerwig is, and I don't really know her movies, I'm 34 years old. I'm a straight guy. I didn't go see Barbie. So, I don't know her work, but what I can tell you is that when I know that someone makes a decision like that, it makes me question their judgment, because decisions don't happen from an isolated mind. They are indicative of the person that makes the decision. It says a lot about a person. And when Marvel thinks it's okay to use a female Silver Surfer when Norin Rad is the iconic Silver Surfer, it makes me think that they have people there that their priorities are not in check. And at a time when they can't afford to make silly decisions like this. So, it's a problem. Unfortunately, Hollywood is very biased in that way. And, you'd think they'd learn from like what's going on right now with Minecraft and Snow White. Everyone that is saying that this Minecraft movie, all the critics are like, this Minecraft movie is absolutely terrible. And the fans are like, we absolutely love this movie. It had no lectures or anything that's like propaganda at all. And it's going to probably make $1 billion. And it's like, hello, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, exactly, bro. I mean, even with Joker 1, right? Joker 1 was so successful because they just, as much as I hate the movie, they just wanted to make something great. And it did great. You know what I'm saying? So, even with Ryan Coogler, right? Like Coogler and the whole Black Panther thing, it pissed me off. But like when they tell you the reasoning, it makes you understand why it was such a dumb decision. Because it literally said they made the decision in 5 minutes. They made it, which shows you that they were emotional. You know what I mean? And look, as much as I don't like the decision, at least they were real about it. And I respect someone being real, even if I don't agree. And so
don't agree that they were real about it, because the reason they gave us is obviously not the standard. And we know that because they recast General Ross. So I don't think they were really real with us.
I think they were completely honest. If you make a decision, because it was Ryan's decision and Ryan didn't decide if Thunderbolt Ross was coming back or not.
Fair.
Yeah. So because in my personal opinion, if it was a Feige decision, I think we will have a new T'Challa.
How do you know? I question if Ryan Coogler made that decision and the buck stopped with him, because he is the director, and
him and Nate Moore, like they said, him and Nate Moore made that decision. Yeah, and they said they both made the decision in like a 5-minute conversation, and I think emotions were super high, and they were like they thought that was the best way, to honor him, and yeah, and that's just the way that they went.
It's interesting, and maybe we could talk about this or separately or do a TikTok on it. I don't know if it's docket worthy, but I'll mention that I saw something from someone on Threads about Nia DaCosta, who directed the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
She was saying how the movie they made, the Marvels, she's the director for the Marvels, and she said the movie they made wasn't the movie that was pitched. Listen, I don't work in Hollywood, but one of the things I understand is that the movie gets changed from the pre-production, it gets changed during production, and it gets changed in post-development. So if I know that, I'm shocked that she doesn't, or she does, and she's just trying to, put blame on Marvel. But she basically said the movie I wanted to make is not the movie that Marvel ended up putting out. And I think that even if that is true, there are so many directors that have worked with Marvel and made bangers, and most of Marvel's movies are really good. So I don't know. I think it's easier to try to blame Marvel and save face.
Yeah, I also do think, and so I've rewatched RDJ's Joe Rogan interview 2 days ago, and I did to kind of prep for this episode, because RDJ kind of dug deep on how they film. You know what I mean? And the one thing that RDJ said, that the one thing that changed when he went from Favreau to the Russos was that, the way that they kind of film is not necessarily scripts that they use. It's more so like the Russos give you a grand view of the character, and they're kind of like directing you through each scene, if that makes sense. So like they have like a generalized script that they have, but like the actor does have a little more power in how they portray a character and in what they say. So the theory that I have, and I think that if you watch some of the content, it'll prove some of it, because I do think that they tried that theory in the Marvels. I think they tried that in Secret Invasion, and I also think that they tried it in Miss Marvel also. And I think because Amon understands her character, it worked. And I think that they tried that style with a lot of different directors that don't necessarily have the talent or have actors that have the talent to do something like that. And when I watch Captain Marvel in the Russo's movies, she doesn't talk much. and
Yeah.
then and then in the
I don't
Marvels,
believe in
when
her.
she has,
Do
and then
not
in the
believe-
Marvels, and then exactly right, and you can use that as ammo too. And then in the Marvels, when she has to do the talking, it seems like I'm not even watching, like the same character. Even in the Captain Marvel movie, like she has dialogue, bro, but it's not like complex dialogue, if that makes sense. Like when RDJ's talking, when Benedict is talking as Doctor Strange, when Captain America's talking, even when Natasha Romanoff is talking, they're having in-depth and deep combos. But does Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, bro, ever have an in-depth, deep, and like crazy convo like what we've seen with our other crazy MCU characters? No. I think that's something to kind of think about.
I also think that they need to choose like directors based on merit alone. And I think that I understand like Miss Marvel obviously needs to be a Muslim girl. Like I understand that. But the director, like, why not just pick someone because they're the best person to make the movie? And I don't really know much about Nia DaCosta, and but obviously she didn't make the best movie, and I know that they specifically wanted like a woman, and I don't know if she's, I don't know her race or anything like that, but I know that like that it was a part of a diversity, and maybe she was the best choice that they had based on merit. I really don't know. I just know that they picked someone who didn't make a good movie. And I know that part of the decision wasn't based on merit. And that is kind of silly. Like, and when it comes to the actor, I think in a role, it's a little different because part of qualifying for that role is to be the right character description. So it makes sense that you need, a black actor to play T'Challa or something like that. Of course, as Jews, we always get screwed, and Magneto always ends up being someone who's not Jewish. And it's really frustrating because I love Michael Fassbender, but I don't like that I feel like we're the only ones that get screwed on that standard.
Yeah.
And I also think that when it comes to like bringing the Russos back and having like when they first were doing it, I was kind of like, I hope they don't only use the Russos. I think they need to switch it up a little bit. And then I thought about it and I felt it was more like kind of like Nike with Tinker Hatfield. Like sometimes when you have someone that like makes magic, that's who you use. And that's who the Russos are to the MCU. And I think that like with this big of a cast, you kind of need that. And it's similar to someone like, and I'm going to throw some ball knowledge at you. It's similar to like someone like Phil Jackson or Eric Spoelstra. Like it's not easy to coach such a largely talented group. And I don't think it's easy to direct a movie with such a big cast of such significant characters and such talented actors. So I do think you need people like the Russos that have experience in not just doing a good job, but doing like an absolutely excellent job. And I think it's going to be that way for a while because we're looking at this huge cast for Avengers Doomsday. And we're looking at obviously another huge cast is going to be for Secret Wars. And then after that, we're talking about X-Men movies. and it's going to be, a large cast again. And I want to talk a bit about the cast because we got a comment from where is it?
Can I make one more Captain Marvel comment real quick?
Who, me?
No, I said I have one real fast.
Okay, yeah, do that real quick because I want to talk about the Avengers.
One last thing. I didn't know that Captain Marvel 1 was co-directed.
Ooh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it was with Anna Boden and Ryan Fleek. Why didn't and obviously we'll never know, but they should have brought those two back to do the second one.
Yeah, because the first one was a decent movie. I enjoyed the first one. Okay, but again, it seems like merit wasn't the choice. All right, so there was a comment. I can't find it. Whoever it was who said something about the Avengers roster looking weak, comment again so I know who it is and I could give you a shout out. But a lot of people are saying the Avengers roster
is that one, right?
Yeah, I'm torn on this because I do agree with you that the roster looks weak, especially at face value right now. I think there's a couple things that are going to change within the next in the next two MCU movies. I think that there's two things that are going to change: Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I think that Fantastic Four is going to be a banger. Everyone's going to love it, and that's going to make the roster for Avengers Doomsday much more appealing. I also think it's going to be similar with Thunderbolts, even though people aren't really expecting that yet. Everyone's saying that the screeners for Thunderbolts are going really well. I think some of the Thunderbolts characters are great. I love John Walker. I love Wyatt Russell as John Walker. Obviously, everyone loves Bucky. Florence Pugh as Yelena. She's phenomenal. And, I'm hearing great things about Lewis Pullman as Sentry as well. So this seems like it's going to be a really good movie. And I think that those movies are going to shake the roster's appeal up a bit. But I also think that, and I think that these movies are really important because they have the power to change everything. Because right now, for a lot of fans, and myself included, it seems like Avengers Doomsday is a big cameo porn fest, especially with the old X-Men and all that. But if these two movies come out and the roster is more appealing, people are going to be more bought into the story, and that has the power to change things. I don't know that the appeal will ever be Iron Man, Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Thor, and that trio again. I just don't, and maybe it doesn't have to be. I don't know. But I also do think it's possible that Iron Man and Steve Rogers come back. And I used to think Steve Rogers wasn't coming back because I didn't think they'd want to steal Sam Wilson's thunder. But I'm starting to think that they care more about bringing their big characters back more than anything right now, based on the chair reveal. Because, I just think they want the big names that are going to sell the tickets. And who's going to do that better than Iron Man and Captain America and Thor if you bring them back on screen together? So, and they already have RDJ back. We know that they've worked with Chris Evans as recently as him being in the most recent MCU movie we saw. And there's rumors that he is in Fantastic Four. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I think I made a pretty big statement on it last week. But what do you think, Stevie? I know I just unpacked a lot.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. I was kind of just thinking about it. I do think that having those three teams, number one, is showing us some type of symbolization, because it does remind me of when, kind of when we had Tony Stark join the Guardians of the Galaxy. Thor was kind of with Rocket and Groot. Cap was, with T'Challa down on Earth. I don't think that choosing these three teams was something random. I think you have three teams that are from three different worlds, and not just actual worlds. I'm talking about like even from a social standpoint, right? We have the Thunderbolts where they're kind of looked at as anti-heroes, you know what I mean? And we're going to see them become actual heroes. We have the Fantastic Four where they're universally loved as like the greatest heroes of all time, where they're from. And then we have the mutants where they're just looked at as like the scum of the earth. You know what I mean? And so I do think that there's some type of symbolization that is being played. I also think as well, when it comes to having a villain like Dr. Doom, you have to have heroes that make Doom seem powerful enough, or that shows how powerful Dr. Doom is. When you have the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Thunderbolts going against one man, it's like, I think they're also trying to show us fans like this is how powerful he is going to be. And then Kevin Feige saying, yeah, this isn't even the full cast, I also think it's kind of a power play to show you like, like this is crazier than what you think, So because if we're talking about from a power level standpoint, the Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men, that's a pretty powerful group of people that we're about to encounter. And to think that one man is going to be able to cook them all, from a fan that doesn't read comics or know a lot about Dr. Doom, I think it's intriguing, to kind of to think about. And, it's easy to crap on, and something that Minecraft taught me, bro. It's even crazy that I would say that Minecraft taught me something. But anyways, this is the world that we're in now, is that a lot of things on paper sound bad. And then when you see them on screen, it can change your whole, forte. And I really do think the Russos are going to play into the power level of these three groups. And this brings me to the Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts. I think the power level of the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four is going to be actually ridiculous. And I literally just saw a trailer of Yelena Belova doing backflips over freaking tables, bro. It's just, and we're talking like off of the strength of just being an acrobat. I think we're going to see a lot of powerful. Like, I think they're diving into the power of a lot of these characters, and I don't think it's on accident.
I'm curious to see who Dr. Doom is going to be with, because I don't know if he's going to be alone. He could be with his son. He also has, his like butler Boris. So, but I do, so he might have in his army of Doom bots. So I don't think he's just going to be solo, but he's not going to have like a team or anything.
Yeah. See, I don't see it as Thanos children type thing, because when you read the comics, man, Doom is just so crossy, bro. Like, you just don't know what that man's going to like. He be crossing. You and I talk about it all the time. He be crossing people like with no hesitation, and so he could be using people and then cross them. I'm not sure, but I do think that like a lot of this is going to, like, the mind of all this stuff is coming from Doom, and that's where I kind of see like his power level kind of taking a stretch, and obviously with him stealing power and stuff like that, I think we're going to see something crazy, bro. I really do, man.
I think we're going to see Doombot, because I think that it's going to help them scale the battle, and it'll be bigger for the MCU spectacle. But he doesn't have like the Black Order, which is what Thanos is. Children per se, when he said, "Bring them to me, my children," but it's going to be interesting, because like I think Doomsday is going to be the first or the final incursion. There's a lot of theories though. I got to read up on, not theories, but Alex Perez from, is it Cosmic Wonder or Cosmic Circus? I think he's
Cosmic Circus.
Yeah. There's Cosmic Wonder, there's Cosmic Circus.
Everybody loves the name Cosmic, bro.
Yeah, and then there's this kid I follow that's something cosmic. It's listen, it's a cool word, but like if everyone's using it,
But now you're right though, bro. And I think that I just had a really good point that is. Oh, this is what I was saying. When I went to, so I had to get some more seats because some of my other friends wanted to see Thunderbolts, and I couldn't because there's only 2 seats left in my theater.
Oh man, that's wild.
I was shocked.
Yeah,
I was shocked. So
I got tickets for the Thursday and the Friday.
Sold out seats is a great sign, brother.
Yeah. My seats weren't sold out, but they had a lot of showings. I'm going Dolby, obviously.
Heck yeah, bro, as you should.
Yeah. So I'm pumped.
Yeah. Don't worry, bro. I will be in New York for that Fantastic 4, bro. But best believe I already got permission from Emily, so I'm going. I will be there. I'm for real. I have to see it, bro. We gotta go. I have to see that movie in Dolby, bro. I have to. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, let's see. Stay ready for my arrival worms. Oh, that was your freaking thing right there. Stay ready for my arrival worms. And then yo. Okay. So yeah, hold the effing phone. Where did you get that F4 hates? By
that was
oh yeah. So I kind of like the hairstyle a bit. Bro, looks like he's in his 40s, still aging like fine wine. Yeah, bro, black don't crack. Yeah, although my worry is Dr. Doom has not been built up at all. I feel like sitting him up in F4 will do more harm than good. By the way, guys, I would love to do something because since Jerry and I don't live in New York, if we could go to if we could meet at a New York Comic-Con, and if we could do a meetup at Comic-Con, because aren't there New York Comic-Cons anyway? Are there any coming up soon at all or no?
I have no idea, bro.
Yeah, that would be fire. So, hello there. The Avengers lineup is kind of, we were talking about that. Greta is a good director, and with Barbie a good movie, but this Aslan pick is kind of wild and odd. Why are you getting offended about woman playing silver? Kevin, bro, you always try to rage.
Bro, we've been over this so many times.
Yeah, the Black Panther.
Why are you offended that I don't like it? Why is it a problem for you that I don't like it?
Because, bro, you know why.
Kevin, I don't even want to see another comment until you answer why you're bothered that I don't like it.
I think it was a Chloe Zhao kind of thing with the Nia DaCosta. What? It wasn't here type of movie and skills. Oh, you're talking about the directors. Yeah. Kevin Feige isn't going anywhere at all. No, probably not. Thunderbolts could play similar Doctor Strange at the box office. How much did Doctor Strange make in the box office? 600 billion, right? 800 million?
$590.
Do you think that's bad?
Wait, hold on. Maybe this isn't right. Worldwide 677. I wouldn't say it's bad.
I guess I'll be believed. I mean, no one thinks that's making $1 billion. It's not making it. If it did make $1 billion, that would shock me.
I don't think that any of these movies are making $1 billion. I think the only one that has potential to do $1 billion is Superman, and maybe Fantastic Four if they get really, really lucky. I think that if people are just going to the movies all out this summer and all the competition that is just bringing people to the movies a lot, I think Fantastic Four could get a bump. But movies are expensive these days, and people want to bring their families. And if you bring your family, it's after you get movies, popcorn, all that stuff, it's for 4 people, you're talking about $200. So I don't know. I think that I would say my biggest bet for the summer is going to be Superman. I think Superman's going to, I used to not think that. And just the way, every time they release something, the numbers that Superman does is insane. The teaser poster and the score and then the trailer and then the sneak peek, every time they've put anything out, everyone just went crazy over it. And I do think that the internet buzz, I don't think all press is good press. I think that's a very simple, there's a lot of cliches that people say that aren't accurate, but people end up believing they're accurate because they hear everyone say it. But you have to remember, most people are stupid, so they just repeat things they hear. And when people say all press is good press, that's one of the most simpleton takes you could have. Press has had the ability to do so many bad things to so many people, so many businesses. And you know what press killed? It killed The Flash. It killed Snow White.
Captain America too. It hurt Captain America hard too.
It hurt Captain America. So I don't think all press is good press, but with Superman, it's different because of all the internet buzz that's bad is all the internet buzz that's bad comes from it comes from the Snyder fans, and they are not the ones that are writing articles. And I think that the articles, for the most part, have been pretty kind to Superman and James Gunn. So, you know, I don't know. I don't think that the Snyder cult has enough influence. I do think that there are people that don't. I do believe that there are some people that aren't as hyped for Superman as everyone else, and they're not necessarily Snyder. They're not Snyder fans, but I do think like 95% of. Here's the thing. I don't think anyone that's anti Superman or anti this movie is really anti this movie that comes from a fair place. I really don't, because I don't think we don't even know what the fucking plot is. Okay, we barely know anything about this movie other than it's Superman. There's a lot of speculation that people are talking about as if it's fact. People are talking about this movie and they're like, "Oh, well, it's like just jokey and Guardians of the Galaxy." Like, how do you know that? Okay, we barely heard any jokes or anything from the movie. You have no fucking idea. So I think a lot of that comes from the people that have been saying, "Oh, well, since James Gunn's doing it, it's like Superman, but Guardians of the Galaxy, because James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy, so like he doesn't know how to do anything else in his life." It's so fucking stupid, and it's like, you know what I get offended by? Stupidity. There you go, Kevin.
Yeah, bro. I don't. And the other thing is like the other issue about having like two movies so close together is like Fantastic Four can't be promoted the way it should be, if that makes sense, because they got to sell the Thunderbolts too. You know, like I do think there should have been way more Fantastic Four clips that have been shown. And yes, I heard that they showed because they showed another one at CinemaCon, and they released 2 photos of it was like Sue Storm in them in the spacesuits or whatever. But like, you know, it's like if the F4 is supposed to be the big movie, it kind of sucks that we're probably not going to get good marketing until after Thunderbolts come out, May 2nd, May 1st, whatever. That's also hella annoying for like, bro. So can we be real? Yeah, exactly. The F4 marketing has been trashed. Like everyone keeps saying F4 has better marketing. I'm like, WTF are you talking about? Yeah, bro, they haven't done too great. But we're not going to see a big push, as I said, until after. JW Rebirth is mostly fine based on the franchise alone and the previous movies making $1 billion. Oh, wait, we got some comments on TikTok. Bill No Goat, what's up, dude? He says, I've fallen off my Superman phase, but I do think Superman will be received well. He said LMAO when you were snapping on the Snyder Cult. I typically am critical of Superman, but I really feel like this movie will set an amazing tone. He said, I don't imagine we will see more Fantastic Four until June, which is super lame. Facts.
I heard the rumor that we're supposed to see something this week, but I feel like every week someone
for Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I feel like every week someone says we're seeing something next week, and I think it's always the real suit. I think he's always like, we're getting a trailer next week, and we never do. You know,
that's annoying.
And I have respect for that kid, though. I don't mean to, you know, roast him. And like, I know a lot of people roast him for not reading comics, and I don't think that everyone needs to read comics. Like and if you listen to me, obviously I hold comics in a high regard, and I have a lot of respect for people who do. And I criticize when people want to talk about theories and they don't read comics. That I don't like. But Soups isn't doing that. Soups is not talking about theories. He's a super positive kid. And I think a lot of people give him shit for unfair reasons. And I like that kid.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't far off the hip.
Yeah, and you don't have to read comics to like talk about the movies. You could just watch the movies. But when you're talking about theories and your theories are like, okay, so I think Spider-Man is going to get the Venom suit. And then once he gets the Venom suit, he's going to be really angry and he's going to do this. And then because he does this, he does this. And you're going down like, well, if X, Y, Z, and this happen, it's like, bro, if you are that confident in all these variables happening in your theory, why don't you go play the fucking lottery? Okay. It's so stupid. It's like, do you know what the odds are of all of those variables coming together? And that's why these theories come from the dumbest people on the internet. Because if you believe that all these variables are going to work out, there's something that we talk about a lot in business. And it's like what I try to explain to people who are, like newer to things. And I say every like big deal you're going to work on in your career, you're going to have the stars need to align. And some of those stars are in your control and some of those stars are out of your control. And it's just the way it is. And it's just the way of the world. So like when people are talking about as if like, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and all these variables are going to happen in your theory. And it's like, and where your theory come from, you don't even read comics. So you have no idea what you're talking about. It's like, you are so insane. You should be in a straitjacket.
Yeah, bro. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
That's a very good point of yours. I agree. And that's why, bro, I feel like, I don't know, man. It just, but also like, I also think that like, if you love it though, you should want to read too. You know what I mean? Because I know for me, like I kind of viewed it, bro, as a chore. And then when you told me to read the F4, I was like, oh, it's like, you know what I mean? So like, I feel like, if you want to expand as a fan and when movies suck, you have these comics that you can run to like right now, you know what I mean? Like I've been reading, as I said, I've been reading Books of Doom, you know what I mean? I finally finished it, and it kind of just like filled me up for, just for, what's going on with Dr. Doom now. I'll make sure after this, cause I think I want to dip into some Captain America. I just need some Captain America in my life. You know what I mean? I'm kind of in the mood to read some Cap. So, and I know you were reading some.
Yeah. Captain America comics are so good, and I'm so happy they're getting hyped again. But it's very easy to tell like who reads comics because they love it and who reads it because they're trying to make content and they want to, a lot of people who do it because they want to make content, they'll only read comics based on or like that have some connection to the movies. So for example, they'll read Venom or Sentry comics and Secret Wars, but they'll never, like someone who really reads comics because they love it, they'll read stuff that you don't really know and doesn't really tie in to the movies because that's where their interest took them because they really love it.
Yeah, it's a great point. All right, now let's get to the next topic here. Wait, he said one more comment. He said, I know we were feeling ways off from Doomsday, but how are we feeling based off of what's been revealed? I think with me and Comic Cuts is both mixed feelings. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's cool that they're being that they're there, but there's still a lot of questions with Doomsday.
Let me see the
Oh, sorry, it was on the TikTok chat. I'm sorry, bro.
What was the question? Because it sounded interesting and I want to answer it.
Sorry, he said, I know we are ways off from Doomsday, but how are we feeling based off of what's been revealed?
So what I really don't like is that it seems like as of now, most fans are bought in to the movie purely based on old actors reprising their roles, what I like to call cameo porn. I am really hoping that the cast of Thunderbolts and the cast of Fantastic Four were also included in the Doomsday chairs. So I'm really hoping that the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are both bangers and super well received by fans, because I think that has the potential to really shift the dynamic of the appeal of Avengers Doomsday and the anticipation for it. So I think that if Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four both do what they need to do, we're going to be having a very different conversation about the hype and anticipation for Avengers Doomsday.
Yep, and he agreed. He said, yeah, they are selling nostalgia.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
like,
a problem because they've been leaning on that for all the most of the major success of the multiversal saga has not been based on the multiverse. It's because they really haven't done a good job with the multiverse. It's mostly been on old actors reprising their roles. Been with Deadpool, it's been with Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. And look, I like it. I think it's cool. I do see problems. My fear is more of like, I just don't want them to think like, because we have these characters, we're going to lack in story, you know? And one of the things that the MCU has been doing is like, we all know that the MCU is going to deliver on what? Costumes, action. Like they'll always deliver on those, but we need a really good story. And so, I have faith that the Russos will feed us a really great story, but we gotta have the right stuff. We gotta have the right story and really good writing. And I've kind of been creating this now. The multiversal rules need to be established the same way in the Avengers like Endgame. They told us the time travel rules before they went back in time and time traveled. We need that for the multiverse because we have really big creators that are just spilling lies about the multiverse, and people that have influence are giving theories about infamous Iron Man and all of these things that's just not accurate. So those rules really need to be established, and that's what I hope that I hope Fantastic Four I hope that they can use Reed and Pedro to establish those rules. That's what I hope.
I am going to be posting probably on TikTok. I'm going to break down what incursions are and everything you need to know about them based on the comics. And some of the stuff I'm going to be posting, I really hope they establish in the MCU. What you also need to understand is that the comics leading into Secret Wars are the greatest comics of all time. And where we are in the MCU right now should be the best part of the MCU in history, and it just hasn't been. It's crazy because if you read the comics for where we are in the story right now, it's like night and day. It's literally the greatest comic series of all time, and everyone's like, well, the MCU has been lackluster this whole saga.
100%. And it sucks that this is the buildup that we've gotten, Freaking Ironheart. Sorry, I'm not going to go that route, but it just drives me crazy, bro. Ironheart, freaking serious. All right. Now let's get this Superman sneak peek. So last week we talked about this, about how Superman was doing a sneak peek, and then shout out to Jerry because I think I was out at dinner with Emily actually, and you ended up texting me and you sent me all the stuff. And I was like, thank God. And then obviously I stopped what I was doing and watched the extended trailer. So I want to know, bro, how did you feel about the extended, trailer? What were you thinking about, and kind of like where your head was with that before? Obviously, like the ending of the trailer was the teaser that we saw already, but what was your thoughts of all of the new stuff?
I was disappointed that we didn't have really any dialogue. I didn't like that we didn't really learn much about the movie. James Gunn did confirm that there's another trailer coming soon. So maybe that's the one where we're going to really learn more about the plot. But the result of that video, it was insane. Everyone was like going nuts over it. And the one thing I will say is, for all the crap that James Gunn was getting over the suit from the set photos, the suit in the screenshot we have directly behind me on the thumbnail right now, it looks amazing in that still. So, but we didn't really learn much about the movie.
So you were just like, obviously
let down, disappointed.
Yeah, like obviously, like for you, the looks were good, but it was like,
Yeah, and he definitely cooked on the visuals for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think people care more about visuals and special effects than they do the like actual plot, and that's so crazy to me. Not to say that visuals and special effects aren't important, but the plot is like everything.
So funny story. So my friend, his name is Cola, right? And he's like an up and coming director, right? So he for fun fact, and I know you hate musicals, but he just directed his first musical called Footloose. So shout out to you. But he's a Nolan, like, I mean, like, so he's understudying at the it's like the Delaware Theater Arts or whatever. And basically it's this theater where they're running plays, bro, like every week. I mean, it's like a different play every week. And the one thing that that he was saying to me is that they were having him watch a bunch of like just trailers of him having to write notes based on each one. And the one thing that he said is that when he watched the Superman trailer, he was like, he was pissed because he expects James Gunn to have these beautiful visual effects. He was like, I expect that to be like, I'm not surprised that we have that on screen. And he said that one of his biggest red flags, just like yours, is that you only heard Superman say 3 things in a matter of a whole entire trailer. And the one thing that he said he was searching for is he wanted to hear Clark Kent talk, not Superman, which was a very interesting point that I didn't really think of. And the him and I's combo was kind of just talking about that. So where I'm at is I think the visuals are cool, and I think that James Gunn's plan was to satisfy the fan that's not like a deep, I guess this might sound rude, but like the fan that's not a deep like movie thinker, like kind of like we are, like how we're like analyzing movies super hard.
Yeah.
Because when I was on X and then I was even looking on Threads too. By the way, follow Comic Cuts on Threads. His Threads popping. And like a lot of people were just hype over the visual effects. So I think that like from that standpoint to satisfy the regular fan, it's a win. But when it comes to like the fans that want more, I do think that you could have put dialogue in the end of that trailer to give some credence to what's kind of going on, because we still get that ending scene with this big robot in the city with no context. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird.
So I do think that number one, most people like just aren't smart. So you don't. It's just the truth, and to make $1 billion movie, you need to have the thought level to be easily accessible. And in order to do that, it's not to tell a super intricate movie. It's to make a straightforward movie that everyone could enjoy. I just think it's weird that we don't really know anything about the plot, but I don't know if that matters. Like, I really don't. I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine was that great, but it did $1 billion. So I don't know. I think there's like a dumbing down of society that's going on, and I think that I think this movie could do $1 billion, and that $1 billion not have much to do with the plot at all.
And this is what brings me to where I think, and this is where I gotta call hypocrites on some people, man, because then it feels like you're creating a Zack Snyder fandom within James Gunn. because it's like Zack Snyder fans, huh?
I disagree with that,
because it's like Snyder fans obsess over visuals and all that stuff, and yes, it wasn't that comic accurate, but like you do the same thing. And look, you gotta do to sell the film, but you could at least offer a little bit more to the film.
I think that's an oversimplification of things, because Snyder's movies may have leaned heavily on visuals and the writing quality not have been so great, but his themes were very rich. He did have themes that were pretty intelligent, and I will give him that. In terms of the line of heroism and flaws and all of that kind of stuff. So he definitely had some rich themes, and I don't know that that's where James Gunn is going, but it is interesting that in terms of the hypocrisy, I will say, like, it was wild. And I know I sent you the photo of the stills from Man of Steel that were identical to James Gunn's Superman from the first trailer. And, you know, it's crazy. And the Snyder fans are going to lose their minds over that. But there are differences. Like the big difference everyone's talking about right now, where the conversation really lies, is, Superman being in agonizing pain from healing from, solar and the sun. Yeah. And, there's the still of Henry Cavill just like that in the sky. I don't know. I think people are being nitpicky, but I don't know. I think that you kind of need to do these things for fans to understand Superman. Like, and I think it's smart that James Gunn did that, because now fans easily understand that Superman can feel pain, and he does get bruised, and he heals from the sun, and that's also where he gets his power. And I think that those visuals are very important for fans to just understand things. And it's similar in comics too. Those the photos in comics are a big part of the story, and that's why they say the penciler, who's the guy who draws the art, not the one who colors it in, but he does the outlines and everything, is a big. The penciler is also a storyteller. He might not be the writer like Scott Snyder, but Greg Capullo, who did the penciling for Scott Snyder's Batman run, is equally as important to the story. And that's why Greg Capullo is such a big name. So I think those visuals are important to telling the story. But when it comes to a movie trailer, unfortunately, without a lot of dialogue, you don't get the premise of the plot based on 2 minutes of visuals.
Yeah, and look, bro, like I do agree that I do think Snyder's themes were rich, and I think James Gunn themes are also going to be rich too. Yeah. But my issue, bro, isn't necessarily like the work, or like the work that they put in and the work that they show, but kind of but my issue is kind of where it kind of takes the fandom, and that's where that's where I've come around on the nostalgia thing too, bro. Because I kind of do see what you're saying of like how the fans react to it too kind of matters. You know what I mean? In their eyes, it's like if people, but it's kind of like Minecraft, right? Like if they like it, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally.
It's interesting because, and not to minimize it, because we care about that. We care about where the fandom goes.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the job of the creator. Like
True.
If I were making a movie, I wouldn't give up. I would be like, listen, my job is to make a fucking dope movie, bro. You either like it or you don't. And I think that, like the Russo brothers, when they're making a movie, I do think that there are moments they think about, like in the theater, like when Cap held Mjolnir, like that, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But I don't think it goes further than that. And I don't think they are making a movie and thinking about the discourse online.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just trying to make the best movie that they think they can possibly. Yeah. It's fair. Let's see. Gosh, a lot of chats. Let me see. Okay. Darn, you guys was chatting.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start here. I think that's what's helped me Superman is James Gunn has never really had a loss. All of his movies have been done pretty well. People like his movies, so that might be a draw of facts.
Did you get that from one of my comments online? I swear, bro. I keep seeing things that I've said in people's comments. Crazy.
Bro, you're an inspiration, bro. We got merch, promo art, a record-breaking trailer, a sneak peek trailer, interviews that don't have negative impact. By the way, man, I love how media... But I got to give a shout out to Corn Sweat. He is so media trained, bro. And Rachel Brosnan also did a good Morning America or something, and because she's doing another movie, but they asked her about Superman, and the one thing she said everybody on this set loves Superman. What a perfect way to say it, bro. They are trained. So I don't know why there's this much Discourse. Yo, and Jerry and I were literally talking about this the other day. We were saying like Superman doesn't deserve this much drama.
No, seriously.
The DC Studios brand is damaged right now. Even if this film is good, that's not going to change anything at all for Warner Bros. And DC. That's totally wrong. Minecraft has changed a lot for them. I can tell you that right now, bro. And with Minecraft and Superman both being successful, that this can be really big for the WB brand. So I do not agree with that. And also, someone on TikTok got on me for not giving Zaslav his flowers. So let me give Zaslav his flowers as well. I really love how he's playing his cards right now. And he is starting, and as I said, I like him more than Bob Iger, man. I really do.
I'm a fan of Zaslav as well.
I love the sneak peek, and the music was godlike. The music was awesome, and how they play some of the old school theme. I thought that was cool. But by the way, Jerry, I did want to ask you, do you like Lex being the main big bad of this film?
Yeah, I'll tell you why I love it. And is because I think for world building for Superman, it is the right call. Like, you want to make, first of all, James Gunn is trying to make the most classic, definitive, traditional Superman movie. There is only one choice for the big bad when you're doing that. Number one, that's Lex Luthor. Number two, the world building for Superman in this universe. Number three, the world building for the DCU. Lex Luthor is going to be, he's a big character to the DC Comics universe, and he's going to need to be a big character in the DC Cinematic universe. So he was 100% the right choice. As much as I would love to see, and this is me kind of taking my own personal desire, like I would love to see Brainiac. I feel like, I've read a ton with Lex Luthor. I've read some Brainiac too. I just love Brainiac. I think he's super cool. I also love Lex Luthor though, but I could see what the movie needs and what the DCU needs, and I could recognize what that is, even if it's not what I wanted. And that's why I like what I try to say to people, especially the people that try to argue with me on threads, the intellectual inferiors. Like, I always take a step back and try to look at things without my own wants and biases and all that. And I don't think, like, it's very clear that a lot of people aren't capable of doing that. And when I see it, I really don't like it, especially because, like, I just know that is someone that is lying, and they're trying to shove their biases down your throats.
Yeah, 100%. And it also feeds your point too of, like, and you didn't say this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but what you kind of corrected me on earlier is, like, James Gunn is somewhat taking a simplicity approach to Superman, rather than kind of like making everything kind of complicated with all this stuff. He is like, the way that the trailers have been, it's been very simple in the way that it's been shown to fans and stuff.
Yeah,
so
I think he's like, I don't think that he's keeping it simple, like doing it in a stupid way. I just think he's like, let's stick to the formula and keep it simple. That's what I think.
Exactly. And someone like you, I know you like that because it's consistency.
Yeah, it's like, you want to make a classic comic book movie about the most iconic superhero of all time, like, you don't do your most iconic character female, the one that everyone's dying to see.
100%. The suit is growing on you. Hey. He's the trunks, guys. Don't get it twisted.
I think the suit is great. I hate the trunks. I'll always hate trunks. I will never think trunks look good. Ever. It's stupid. You're never going to convince me it's cool to go outside with underwear over your pants.
Yeah. Yo, didn't you say that to Slav, I think, last week on X? I forget. I think you said something about
like that.
I was dying. I was like,
Slav is funny. Anytime Marvel comes up, he's always like, oh, Mephisto.
Bro. Dude, every time I tweet something, bro, Mephisto confirmed.
He's wild.
I still can't believe how this one sneak peek managed to get so much discourse online from
Yeah.
people like Tyrone. Dude, Magnus is a rage baiter, bro. Don't fall for him. Don't fall for him, bro.
Yeah.
He's a rage baiter, bro.
Who's Magnus?
Dude, you would not like this guy. So he used to be like a big reactor, and his channel's kind of fallen off. I think he has like a million subs, but his views definitely don't match, like, you know what I mean, the sub count. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like he rage baits everything, bro. He rage baits everything. The online arguments becoming so bad. Okay, y'all, we got to get some more topics. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Let's talk about some Moon Knight. So I wanted to talk about this because there's an interesting rumor that's going around about Oscar Isaac. So Star Wars Celebration. Okay, so apparently Oscar Isaac was supposed to be there, and I'm pretty sure it was because they were going to announce him coming back as Poe for Star Wars. Which, who cares about Poe at this point, in my opinion. But anyways, so this is the rumor. Oscar Isaac will no longer be able to attend Star Wars Celebration Japan due to a scheduling conflict. It said fans believe that this is because he will return as Moon Knight in Avengers Doomsday, which filming starts in a few days. So first off, would you like Moon Knight being in this movie?
No.
I would love to hear why.
So I'm a fan of Moon Knight, and I think he's a cool character, but I just don't think he's right for this movie. I think that I would like to see him join the ranks of Daredevil and Spider-Man and the street level part of in New York City in the MCU. I just don't think that this is like, I don't really, and I guess like he could do more than street level. So technically, I don't know, but I just think that yeah, I'm a fan of his, but I think they need to focus on bigger characters for this movie.
Yeah. So I think that if they did Kane the Conqueror, it would have been a perfect setup because
Cool.
yes, because I always thought that Rama Tut was going to pop up in the Moon Knight show, which would have been wild. Number one.
Yeah.
And so I always had that thought when Majors was in the fold or whatever. But I don't really see a problem with him not being in it, only because I see him being kind of a side character. You know what I mean? Not playing a role. You need the muscle and the weight, and like the way that they portrayed him in the Moon Knight show. He just comes off so much more powerful than a lot of other characters with the whole Khonshu stuff. Like in Moon Knight, a lot of people don't talk about it. In Moon Knight, they really went for it with the lore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I love Moon Knight. He's probably one of my favorite characters, but I just don't think it's the right place for him. And I think that, and I don't think it would help him. I don't think it would help his status with fans, because if you put a character like that into Avengers Doomsday and he's a side character, people are just going to see him as a side character. Like, the thing that's cool about a lot of like street level movies, like when, I'm trying to think of, when Spider-Man fights Doc Ock, like Doc Ock really does feel like a big bad villain when he's fighting Spider-Man. And I'm trying to think of other examples, but sometimes street level superhero movies do a really good job of making their big bad feel like an Avengers level threat in that movie. And I think that it's a similar dynamic if you were to put a character like that into, because you do that and it makes Spider-Man seem big. But if you put Moon Knight in Avengers Doomsday, it's just going to make him seem small. And I think that they need to play their cards really well with Moon Knight, because it didn't win a lot of fans over. I mean, I know a lot of fans liked it, but a lot of fans didn't at the same time. I think what they should do with Moon Knight is make it, I think they should look at the Jed McKay run and, take some inspiration from there and make like a dark, gritty, street level show similar to Daredevil Born Again. And I think that people see Moon Knight differently and would really connect with him because that show, as much as I loved it, it was much more about mythical gods and everything like that. And, you know, he deals with a lot of gritty city crime that, you know, like drug dealers and, you know, drug dealers that have really crazy powers. And I think stuff like that would be really cool. And, you know, I think that there's also a trend right now in comic book TV shows because the Penguin and Daredevil Born Again are showing that these street level crime related city in both take place in New York City. Well, Gotham, which is technically New York City, have performed really well with fans. So I think that they should take advantage of the trend and leverage their IP into that trend.
Fair, very fair. I hate when you get these long freaking points because then I can't refute because you answer my refutes or my rebuttals. You answer my freaking rebuttals when you,
bro.
when you get
Part of being a salesman is to see people's rebuttals before they even come. You know, like you gotta. That's it. When you can do that, you're money.
Because I'm literally coming with all these rebuttals in my head, and the funny thing was like I had one because sorry, so I just to talk real quick, I literally was going to say like like they literally just dove so deep into the lore. Why would you go to street level? And then you were like, yeah, but this is why because of Penguin and Daredevil. I'm like, well, he just cooked my whole point.
Yeah, bro, it's like
it's a fair point though. It's a fair point. It's a trend.
And you can still that like. Bro, when you read that Jed McKay run, it's going to make you see Moon Knight differently.
Okay. Fair. All right, bet. Definitely am. All right. Now, next thing here. Spider-Man 4. Oh, by the way, speak of Spider-Man. Did you hear about the new JMS run that got announced?
It looks stupid, bro.
That art is trash, bro.
Dude, that art makes me feel like...
It's terrible.
They do Infinity Comics, which... I don't know if you've seen them in Marvel Unlimited, but they're trying to push them like really hard. But they're Infinity Comics where they don't sell hard copies. They're only in Marvel Infinity, and it's not pages. It's just a complete vertical scroll.
Oh, the X-Men stuff? Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
A lot of those, they seem to be geared for kids, like kids that don't have tablets. They just have iPhones, and they're just used to scrolling. And this comic book, it seems like it is made for really young children.
Yeah.
Based on the art. And it's really aggravating because Spider-Man could use someone like JMS right now. They are rebooting Amazing Spider-Man on Wednesday with Amazing Spider-Man 1 from writer Joe Kelly. And he wrote a lot of. So what you have to understand is they did Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, which was the last long-running run. And about a year ago, Zeb Wells' run ended, and they did for like 1 year. They were doing the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and it was Joe Kelly that wrote it, and then there was this other woman, Justina Ireland, and both Joe. First of all, it was garbage. Everyone was hating on Zeb Wells' run. 8 Deaths of Spider-Man was so much worse. It was probably the worst Spider-Man comic I've read in my entire life.
It's that bad.
It was that bad. And there was a lot of anti-capitalist propaganda in the comic. And then for the finale of 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, they included a sneak peek for the upcoming Joe Kelly run. The sneak peek, which had 3 pages, a full page of the 3 was all anti-capitalist propaganda, bro. And it's like, what the hell, man? And especially like on Spider-Man, when everyone's complaining about the comics, like this is what you do. It's crazy.
You sent me a screenshot of that.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, you just sent me a screenshot. I remember that. Yeah. it kills me, dude. It kills me when they like it's like it's just like Marvel Rivals, bro. How someone always has to don Spider-Man, even though they don't know how to use them. Like you gotta put it in there because you think you have them high ground. It's like so disgusting.
It's so aggravating, man. It's so aggravating.
Yeah. So with Marvel Studios, they are looking for a certain actor. So let's read this here. So it says Marvel Studios is reportedly casting for a 30 to 50-year-old Asian actor for a big role in Spider-Man brand new day. Now, I'm pretty sure I saw you talking about this on X, and this is what made me want to bring it up on the pod because a lot of people are talking about Mr. Negative, you know, and people are going crazy on that. So I wanted to 1 second, y'all. I got you, brother. I got you. And so how do you feel about, you know, them wanting a certain actor or about them wanting an Asian actor and about people think that's going to be Mr. Negative? How do you
I agree. I think it's going to be Mr. Negative. I think that this information confirmed who the villain is because Mr. Negative is one of the main villains in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and they're looking for an Asian guy that fits the age description of Mr. Negative. Who else could it be? So I definitely think we're going to see Mr. Negative. And, you know, what's really interesting to me about this is I like Mr. Negative, by the way. I did a TikTok on who he is, so check that out if you want to learn more about Mr. Negative. But to quickly recap it, he is a philanthropist. He runs the Feast Center, which Aunt May worked at, and but he's also a crime lord. And, you know, basically the Magia worked with him, and he, you know, he's like a crime lord for his, you know, street gang in downtown Chinatown. And, you know, he's a really cool villain. And he has this like negative energy powers that's like mystical and really cool. He's savage villain. So I'm excited about it. And, you know, what else is interesting? I kind of think that Aunt May's death was part of a broader strategy for Spider-Man in the MCU. I think that like the consequences of what happened in No Way Home with Peter losing Aunt May and having to kind of forfeit his relationship with MJ and Ned is going to force him to grow up. He had to lose Aunt May, and because he lost Aunt May and he had to make a really big boy decision and put his friends before him and his like personal self, I think that we're going to see him mature a little bit going into Spider-Man 4. What I also think is that could we be getting the grounded street level Spider-Man 4 with Mr. Negative? Because Mr. Negative is a street level villain.
I think so, brother. I think so.
But it's coming out like right after Doomsday. So that's everything. I would 100% think that, except for that one outlier. It throws me off.
Yeah, but I mean, but when we got that Ant-Man film right in between and Captain Marvel, those were right before, you know, or not right before, but Captain Marvel was more of a prequel, but Ant-Man was like a situation that was happening kind of before and during. So, and I do think Spider-Man is going to be in a Doomsday, so they could give us a movie that happened before those events or something with Doctor Doom or something interesting. Yeah. I don't know. One of my favorite fights in Spider-Man 2 was when Miles fought what's in it? Because Miles Morales, because when you play Miles, you actually fight him. Wait, are you Peter or Miles? Oh, yeah. Miles fights him in like a duel to like the death. It was such a fun fight. That was a fun character to use. And then Aunt May did volunteer at the Feast Center in No Way Home also, because that's when I'm pretty sure Peter brought Green Goblin there, I think.
Yes.
when
No.
when he first found him.
Green Goblin went there because he
Yes.
saw Spider-Man on the ad, and he was like, "I saw Spider-Man," but you're not him. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Uh,
like the seeds already planted for that.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. And Brand New Day is a good run. A lot of people hated it. The thing about Spider-Man comics that sucks is that everyone hates everything. So like it's very difficult to like when you research Spider-Man comics, it's very difficult to get a read on if something is actually good or not because everyone hates everything. I mean, I remember I was trying to find podcasts to listen to based on comics, and I found one of a certain website. I almost want to mention their name because I was like so thrown off that they said this. But in the JMS run, the J. Michael Straczynski Spider-Man run is the best Spider-Man run of all time, hands down, no questions asked. And during that run, 9/11 happened, and they stopped releasing. I don't know if all comics at the time, probably, but they stopped releasing Spider-Man comics for like 2 months. And when they finally did release one in December of that year in 2001, they put out the 9/11 edition. And it was a black cover, and it was of Spider-Man kind of just scoping out Ground Zero, kind of collecting his thoughts on it. Famously, Dr. Doom was even crying. It was deep. And like first time I read it, I even got teary-eyed.
Respect, yeah.
And some jerk said, I kid you not.
Oh God.
He was like, I was so offended by that comic.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's crazy.
Huge virtue signaler, all that, So
What a fraud.
Yeah.
Question: you saw Spider-Man 1, the original Sam Raimi one. You saw that in the movies, right?
Of course, bro.
It was packed in there also, right? Like it was packed.
Bro, when that movie came out, oh my God, it was the wave. Everyone was obsessed with it. Yeah, yeah.
I wish I could have lived. I wish I could have lived during that time, bro.
Were you even born when that movie came out?
Yeah, so I'm 99, so I was 2 or 3 years old.
Damn, that's crazy.
I was a Gerber.
Yeah,
I was a Gerber.
I was 11 when that movie came out.
I told you, you're my big brother, bro. I told you,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah, bro.
I'm your young boy, bro.
I was murking people in video games before you were born.
Fact, I told you, bro. I'm your young boy, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, let's talk about some Zack Snyder. I wanted to read your Threads post first because I really love that. So, TikTok, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I wanted to read your Threads post first about Zack Snyder because I thought it was very interesting, and it really had me thinking for a while and kind of going back. So, since what you said Zack Snyder's DC movies aren't comic accurate because they present a fake version of Superman and Batman, recognizable in costume but hollow at the core. Superman isn't a symbol of doubt. Batman doesn't kill because he knows what killing turns you into. The moral line defines him. Remove it and you're not exploring the character. Excuse me. You're erasing him. That isn't who they are, and it never was. And this post got 260 likes, 190 comments, 7 reposts, 4 shares, 7.7K views. So a lot of people were very intrigued in what you said. So I wanted you to kind of like give kind of like a kind of your view on that kind of in words, because I felt like that was a very powerful and incredible take because I never really thought about it that way. Like obviously I do think it lore killed, but I really wanted you to explain kind of like the core values of both characters and why it kind of kills them.
It's funny because this is like what I've always thought, and I'm trying to bring things that like I think are obvious, and then I realize they're not obvious to everyone else.
Yeah.
To my content, because I've noticed that when I articulate the things that I feel like are just the way of the world, people get intrigued. And this is just like how I have looked at Zack Snyder's DC movies for a long time. But I just articulated it this way the other day, and really it revolves around Superman and Batman because, in Zack Snyder's characterization of Superman, Superman is deeply conflicted, and it goes further than that. That Superman doubts himself, doubts people, and he is just a downer and someone who is like negative. And Superman, I mean, he was created to be an inspiration, and he wasn't created to be an inspiration for people to be sad and depressed and mopey. He was created to be an inspiration of hope and optimism. People call him the beacon of hope. I hate that phrase, but you get the point. But with Batman, it even drives me crazier. And I know a lot of people are talking about Superman right now, so I wanted to say that first because I know that's a hot topic. But for me, first of all, I love Batman way more than Superman. He is my favorite character. And when you make Batman someone that brands people and kills people, it just shows that you fail to understand Batman, because the biggest thing about Batman is that he doesn't kill. That moral line is the character. Like, that's the whole dilemma. He goes so close, but he doesn't go over the edge because he understands the second he does that, he's on the other side. He's no longer the hero. He's everything he's fighting against, and he's everything that he swore to his parents' grave that he would fight against. And that moral line, it defines him. It's who he is to his core. And the second you make him kill and even brand people, because when he's branding people, that's like he's doing it out of cruelty and not doing it out of heroism and doing it out of justice. So when you take that justice aspect out of it, it changes things too. But it's the moral line that really defines him. And when you have a depressing Superman and a Batman that kills, it's a fake Superman and a fake Batman. And when you watch Batman versus Superman, you're not really watching Batman on that screen. You're not really watching Superman, because that's not who they are, and it never was.
Yeah, exactly. And because and your thing hit me because I was reading Zero Year last week, and basically, you know how basically like the Riddler just infuses just chaos on Batman, right? And it's like, in that moment, I'm like, yo, if I was Batman, dude, I'm gonna kill, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, right. If it's me, if I'm donning the cape, I'm taking you out at that point. There's no way I'm not going to want to kill you. And it's like, even with the chaos, bro, Batman chooses to not kill. And then there's really death in the family. It's another scenario where, like, if most people, I'm going to speak for myself, if I'm in Batman's, if I'll be the worst superhero, but I would kill a lot.
Yeah.
Like, for real, dude. Like, I don't know, man. It's a certain things that, certain lines get crossed. I'm not a big fan of, but
well, you're not a superhero really, and that would make you more of a vigilante, like the Punisher. And that's why people always say, if you want a Batman that kills, watch the Punisher.
Exactly. That's a great. You just cooked right there. You just cooked right. That's a great point.
Oh, yeah, true. And I love the Punisher, and that's also part of what makes all of these superheroes interesting is their line and what defines them and what makes them different and the philosophical angle to it. But Batman is a super rich character, and there's a reason that, and that's part of the reason he resonates with so many people. It's just crazy because, like, when people are like, oh, but this and that, it's like, you can't expect us to play along with your mental gymnastics so you could feel better about liking your fake Batman movie.
Exactly. And bro, and like what I love about Scott Snyder's Batman is that, Batman's no kill rule is what keeps his humanity. You know what I mean? It keeps him, in other words, grounded, and That's what the Punisher doesn't really have. A Punisher doesn't have something that keeps him grounded because his ground is gone. He has no ground at this point, versus where, Batman's no kill rule is what keeps a part of him there.
I will say, I think both the Punisher and Batman strongly stick to their convictions. And another great example of Batman doing that, and it's not on the no kill rule, but it's something different, is and by the way, that Scott Snyder Batman run, that's the run that got me obsessed with comics.
Yeah.
And again, people who love comics will read comics because they find something that interests them. And it's not just based on what the current comic book movie trend is. Anyway, the other thing here is, so in Gotham War, Catwoman, bro, this shit was wild. So Catwoman got the Bat family to agree to allow Gotham criminals to get away with their non-violent crimes. So they could steal, do Grand Theft Auto, things like that.
Yeah.
And they tried to say to Bruce and Batman, they were like, it's working. There's less violent crime. And Batman was just like, have I not taught you anything? And they tried so long and they tried so hard to push him, and he wouldn't budge. And he was right. He was 100% right. He was like, we can't go soft on crime. Like, we cannot allow this to happen. The second we do, we're no longer heroes and we're no longer protecting people, because this is still harming people and it's still harming the city, and it's not right. And if we allow this, we are no longer justice. So Batman sticks to his convictions, but so does the Punisher. And the Punisher sticks to his convictions. And everyone saw this when the iconic rooftop scene with Daredevil and the Punisher. The Punisher, like, and what do you do, Red? And what do you do? What do I do? When I put them down, they stay down. And, I think in these big idea conversations, it's easy to want to come to an answer. But the thing about philosophy is that philosophy is all about questions. And sometimes when you have such a big question, it's hard to come to an answer. And I don't necessarily know who I think is right, the Punisher or Daredevil or Batman. The good news is I'm not a vigilante or a superhero. So I don't really have to have the answer, because I'm not out about to kill someone. But my point is that I think they all make really good cases for their angle, and that's what makes it really difficult to come to a decision on who is right.
Exactly. And you're right, bro. And what Scott Snyder shows, right, in those Batman comics is that, like, in some other Batman comics that I've seen, like, it seems like, and even with Absolute Batman, I kind of feel this way a little bit. It can sometimes feel like Batman feels like Gotham isn't really worth saving. You know what I mean? And Scott Snyder made it very clear that this Batman does, like, Bruce Wayne does believe in that. And there's even times, bro, where, like, he's kind of trying to reach the Joker too. You know what I mean? Where he's kind of saying, like, yo, like, you can possibly come back from this darkness, And and this is just a Scott Snyder fan session for me right now. But, like, to be able to show how ruthless Batman is, but also show, like, the grace piece of Batman a little bit, where he's like, he still has hope and faith. I think I don't think that's easy to do when you're writing a character like Batman, because it is easy to go the vengeance route. You know what I mean? So yeah, Scott Snyder clipped on that run.
Like Stevie talking about his obsession with Scott Snyder Batman right now is like a perfect example of seeing someone doing it, reading comics because he loves it. There's no talk about Batman movies right now. He's just reading Batman, going back to Scott Snyder's run because he loves reading comics now. So just pay attention to that, because you'll see a lot of people who only read comics based on the movies. Like I said before, like, there's some guy who, reads Venom comics, reads Sentry, maybe he'll read Secret Wars or something. Those types of comic readers they're not really in it. And because they're not really in it and they're not reading a ton of comics, their knowledge basis to talk about this stuff isn't as deep. So it's all.
And that's why the cheat code, get a best friend that reads all the trash. So then he
I try to never read trash because my time is valuable.
Exactly. Get a best friend, okay, who is smart,
recommendations,
who gives you the best recommendations. So you need an OG. You need an OG, and I have an OG who's kind of put me on.
I wish I had the guidance that I could give now when I first started reading comics.
For sure, bro. For sure, it's definitely made my reading experience a whole lot better. But I will say, man, the most fun read I've had so far is either it's crazy. I forget this comic. It's the Spider-Man one, where you go through each year.
Life story.
Spider-Man life story was a really fun read for me, bro. Like, that might have been the most fun I've had. But yeah, bro. Nah, but I was supposed to say thank you, bro, for getting me into it, because it gets my brain off of the world a little bit. All right, let's get into it. Snyder has Batman murder people, was about to have the dead Robin be. Oh, bro, yes, bro. That dead Robin was Dick Grayson instead of Jason Todd, bro. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that, bro. That is that's crime.
Yeah, that's someone who doesn't love the comics, and that's a big part of why James Gunn is the right guy. By the way.
It's Elseworlds. Elseworlds is not an excuse to lore break, bro.
Yeah, Elseworlds isn't an excuse to break the characters. Maybe if you're doing like an Elseworld obscure comic, but when you're doing a cinematic universe, you need to use the traditional definitive versions of the character, because people want the classic character that they know and they feel attached to, and not something else. Like, that's what people need to understand about comic accuracy and like what that means. Comic accuracy matters because people want the versions of the characters they are attached to. I feel like that should make sense and it should be obvious, but apparently it's not.
Also, Superman was sold as like the next coming after Reeves, so like let's not do that. That's pretty much how almost every Superman is sold. You know what I mean? They did it with Ruth and Cavill as taking the mantle. You know what I'm saying? So like,
you know what we could say now? If anyone like tries to say what Snyder did was right, well, you know how we know it wasn't? Because it failed.
Yeah, exactly. And if you really wanted to do Elseworlds, then do like Val Zod or someone that's not Clark Kent. Just saying.
Yeah.
I've literally said that too. If Batman is murdering people, then he's nothing better than the Punisher. Facts. Batman literally has a Robin to prevent him from killing. Tim Drake was created because Batman needed a Robin to keep his morality in check. Man, I can't wait to see him in the DCU. All right, next topic here. I really wanted to talk about this also, bro. And I'm gonna read another threads, but I do think that this is opening up a greater like issue in fandom, and I think it's good this happening because, bro, it is exposing a lot of the frauds that are in our space that only wanted to jump on the Superman train to make content because they don't like James Gunn, and I think that they're being caught off first. So this is what
are you going to read? If you're going to read one of my threads, can I let me read it because I'll do it with the fluctuations.
I bet it's the one with a Superman being let's call it carried by all the.
Okay. So I wrote James, and this is the picture I posted with it, so you could also
actually I can share it on
okay.
Screen.
Yeah, once you get it up, I'll start reading.
Here you go.
All right. So James Gunn may be active on social media, but this photo makes it clear he's above the noise. People nitpicked every detail of the Superman suit. Even I criticized the trunks. But that sneak peek shot proves he knew exactly what he was doing. And, you know, I wrote this because everyone was talking about the suit for so long, from the set photos. People were torching it. And this whole time, James Gunn, he didn't come out and defend himself. He didn't come out and try to leak better shots. He just waited, and he knew that when people finally saw the product, they were going to be happy with it. And it's obvious in that shot, the suit looks amazing. And yes, Jalen, I said amazing, even though it has the trunk. So there's something. But I want to talk about another one that I read also, and I think this one's important too. So, and this one did. The last one I wrote had, by the way, like 300,000 views, 1.1K likes. So, a lot of people obviously agreed, and this one did well too. Not as well, but like 3,500 views, 114 likes. And I wrote, what bothers me most about the Snyder cultists is how they disguise their bitterness towards James Gunn's Superman as objective critique. It's not honest analysis. It's thinly veiled resentment and envy dressed up as insight. And I wrote this because I should have done this one first, but whatever. And this one, other post I wrote that has 112,000 views. It started with this. So if you could see.
Hold on, I could pull that up, I think.
Yeah, pull up the photo because we got to talk about this one.
I got you, brother.
And this is why I don't think it's fair critique. I have.
Oh, I'll keep pressing your profile, not the post. My bad. I'll let you press your name like 4 times. I'm like, why is you sending me back to the top? My bad, bro.
All right. Good.
Here you go, brother.
Okay, so you could see he said, this is the worst Superman scene I have ever seen in film history. We really lost a lot for this film. This was on Twitter. He got 1.6 million views. Now, and I wrote something. I wrote, Snyder cultists saw one single scene from James Gunn's Superman and already decided it's the worst Superman scene in film history. Incredible how the one scene they saw just happens to be the worst ever. And that's why I just don't like, this is obviously not fair criticism. He obviously doesn't think it's the worst scene. It's the only scene he saw. So he's like, worst scene ever. James Gunn, worst scene ever. And it's not really about James Gunn. It could have been Jon Favreau. It could have been the Russo brothers. Mm-hmm. They're just pissed off and jealous that Zack Snyder didn't get James Gunn's job. And because of that, they are trying to convince everyone else that this movie and James Gunn is trash, and it's not fair criticism. They're acting as if their standard is judging any of this stuff based on the merit alone. And none of it has anything to do with the merit. It has nothing to do with anything they're talking about. They're just throwing a never-ending temper tantrum that Zack Snyder didn't get James Gunn's job, and they expect us to play along with their mental gymnastics charade, and I'm so tired of it.
Yeah. When Shia LaBeouf got announced, right, the thing that you said that I coined, that is your quote, is you said now Marvel Studios has given them ammo. Marvel Studios has given these guys that are very biased towards the MCU already. They've given them a valid ammo to now be angry and make thousands of videos on now to make to tarnish the MCU brand. And when the trailer, when the first Superman trailer dropped, James Gunn gave people ammo. I ain't gonna lie. He gave a lot of people ammo to heavily critique. And what happened is, like, obviously, the real fan, like real people that cover it, talked about the dialogue, but like with the trailer, there were certain answers that people wanted that got answered, which was the suit. We got a better look at the suit. We got to see the Fortress of Solitude. We got to see Crypto and Crypto's personality. A lot of fans were satisfied. And, when people critique stuff, I always look at the reasoning and why they complain about it.
But I don't think the reasoning is valid, and I don't think he really did give them much ammo. What ammo are you talking about?
From the first one?
From any of it?
I do think that the promo hasn't been the best in the way that he's done some of it, you know what I mean? And so I think that's ammo. As in some of the promo shots haven't been great, and some of the stuff hasn't been as professional as they usually are. And look, you and I have said, like, and I've said, I think he's testing out stuff. This is his first rollout that he's done on his own, so I do expect to see some discrepancies, you know what I mean? And I think he's going to fix that. But like, there has been some ammo, for people to, critique, but we both know that the critique has been to a head that's like not That's
None
ridiculous.
of it's coming from a fair place. None of it's coming from a fair place. Like I said before, as much as I love Brainiac, I also love Lex Luthor. Like, I try to take a step back and think about what's best, step outside of my own perspective and biases. And, I always thought that was like the fair standard of doing things. And then I realized that, like, no one else is playing fairly.
100%, bro. And like, when you start to critique someone's face on a backpack, and
crazy,
you know what I'm saying, and when you start to say you don't like the way someone talks in a press interview when they're not wearing a costume, nor are they filming in a movie, when you start critiquing someone's outfit that they're wearing at a press interview, when you're getting angry at a director that actually knows the lore of the character that he's writing, and he's so excited to talk about his movie, like, that's when I know, like, okay, you guys are taking it to a level that is just impossible, and that is ridiculous. And so, yeah, man, so that's kind of where I'm at, man. Like, the critique of Superman has far surpassed being a Superman issue. It is a James Gunn issue, and Jerry was right. If it was Favreau, if it was the Russos, if it was anybody else, it would have been the same fire. A lot of people just didn't want Zach to, not. A lot of people wanted Zach to be the guy, and that's just the facts of it. So, and it's sad that it's come to that. And and we even saw a picture of James Gunn and Zack Snyder together. You know what I mean? Which is hilarious, and then people still complain. So it is how it is, man. But I do think that the success of this movie is going to shut a lot of people up, and some victory laps will be ran. Definitely on this show. Definitely on this show for sure. And I can't wait to because I have some of y'all tweets saved, so we're gonna be. I'm gonna blast some of y'all on X, bro. I'm waiting.
Yeah, me too.
I'm waiting. So, but no, follow Comic Cuts on Threads though. He's been cooking on there.
Yep.
It's so bad. Facts, Jalen. The amount of nitpicking I saw from Center fans is hilarious. The robots are supposed to call him Kal-El, not Superman. People said that. Oh my gosh. The robots wanted to call him Kal-El. Dogs wouldn't attack their owner if they're hurt. Bro, my dog, bro. All right. And I literally said on X, my dog acts just like Crypto, bro. She doesn't care if you're laying down. She will step on my stomach. She'll step on my face. Like, she does not. She has no awareness of like where she's at. So I do not agree. The second I saw Crypto and Jerry, like, I literally showed Emily. I was like, "Yo, this is our dog." It seems like she started laughing because I mean, it's funny. It's funny,
That's, by the way, like, gonna help this movie. The fact that people are like seeing their dog in Crypto. Oh my God, you have no idea how big of a difference that's going to make.
Oh yeah. That's going to be awesome. And he's just not trained. I mean, and look, how many people can relate to buying a dog because you think it's cute and then they're a terror. Like, that's like 90% of dog owners in America. So it's like, it's a and you can never go wrong with having a cute dog in a movie.
Yeah.
And we should have known because even in Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn had that dog in there too. That was super cute. That can like talk with the little mask with the little space thing on his neck. Forgot about that. Yo, W Stream Words from Nerds Podcast. What's up, bro? Hope you guys are doing well, man. Thank you guys for hopping on the stream, man.
Thanks for the shout out.
I blame Snyder Bros for creating the negative vibe that it's making some Gunn fans toxic as well. Not as bad as Snyder Bros, but bro, it's just so bad. And it's actually wild because like when you go out and touch grass, and like I've talked to so many people about, just the trailer and stuff, and everyone I know was into it. Like the only person that had a negative opinion was my pops. And that's just because he's sick of the Reeves. My dad just doesn't like I don't think my dad's a Superman fan, but he's more of a Batman guy. What's worse is you have guys like Aaron Fisher and other Snyderverse channels fueling the toxicity facts. They don't help at all. But it gives
Aaron is like the king of acting, like his criticism is fair and even, and it's totally not. He is always reaching and playing mental gymnastics to try to convince everyone that James Gunn is bad because he's just jealous Zack Snyder didn't get the job. And the other day he was doing that like he does every day, and I called him out on it, and I said something about Zack Snyder, and he was like, "What does this have to do with Zack Snyder? Why are you bringing Zack Snyder up?" I'm like, "Bro, all you talk about is Zack Snyder. What do you mean? This is all because and this whole thing is motivated because you don't like that it's not Zack Snyder." It's funny, like people. If someone else did that to me yesterday when I was like
on Threads,
on Twitter. It was more about Superman and about him being like the embodiment of America and American ideals, and
yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, and someone was like, "No, it's not," and I was like, "Yes, it is. You are just trying to, put your politics into this." And they were like, "Well, I didn't mention politics." I'm like, "You didn't have to. Like, I see through you, and it's like people are so dumb, and especially like people who are like dumb and try to be deceptive and manipulative. Like, they don't realize that it's completely transparent, and it's crazy. And Aaron Fisher, that's exactly who he is.
And this is him saving face. And I was really texting Jerry about this because I watched a bunch of his videos. He tries to shield himself a lot, you know what I mean? But we see right through that crap, bro.
Yeah. Right, I don't even think it makes a difference. I think he's just like, oh, take it with a grain of salt. Like, I don't. It's like a disclaimer that like is just to cover his ass. Like it's like a fake disclaimer.
Exactly.
By the way, check your DM on X.
Okay. Oh, right now?
Something to potentially add. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that next after this. So, Mr. Ryan, what's up?
Oh, no, never mind. I'm not going to.
Hey, what's wrong? You good?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So, Mr. Ryan Coogler, he's doing press for his movie coming out called Sinners with Michael B. Jordan and what's the other girl? She was Kate in Hawkeye. And by the way, the trailers look amazing. Can't wait to see that movie. But by the way, it looks crazy.
Talking about it.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty wild. And so Ryan Coogler was talking about Chadwick Boseman, bro. The clip made me cry, dude. It was so emotional. I'm not crying right now. My eyes are just apologies. But the one thing that Coogler talked about was, which I thought was cool. So really cool moment. He talked about how when Chadwick Boseman did the movie 42. Denzel came to go see it. And basically, Denzel never knew that he paid for Chadwick's schooling for him to go to Oxford. So Chadwick pulled him in the room and told him. And basically, Denzel cried the whole movie. Because he's like, dang, like. And the one thing that and Coogler said that Denzel said to him that he was shocked that, because he said Chadwick could have used the fact that Denzel paid for his schooling to push his film. Like, he could have used that as press, but he didn't. And he waited to pull him to the side in private, and he paid his respect. And he never used the Denzel, schooling for press. And he was just using that. But then Coogler started getting just choked up. Like, you can tell them two were close. And then, always leave it up to Charlemagne, bro, to ask the questions. And Charlemagne was like, yeah, so that's why you're not going to recast T'Challa, right? And then he said, but with the multiverse, you can, make it happen. And Coogler said, well, he said, we will talk about that next time I'm here. And
they are doing it, because if they weren't,
he would have said it.
Wouldn't he just said, yeah, we're not doing that. We're going to respect Chadwick, which is the reason I don't buy, but that's the one they gave.
Yep. And he just said, and he was quick with it. He said, we'll talk about that next time I'm here. So, and coming from like Marvel history and actors talking about stuff, usually when they're not in something, they're going to tell you, unless it was like an Andrew Garfield lie. But he didn't give a yes or no. He was just like, that's a convo that's going to happen when we're back. So it does give me hope that Ryan Coogler is working on, recasting T'Challa. And I hope that is true, because I don't think Ryan Coogler's dumb. Like, I don't think he's an idiot. You know what I mean? And so I hope that they're working on something behind the scenes, bro.
Trying to think of it. Someone whose podcast that I listen to, and I think he's probably the smartest person I listen to. You know who I'm talking about. And he
goat.
was what?
The GOAT.
The GOAT. And he was like, if you had a 2-hour meeting with someone you were thinking about hiring, an attorney, and everything was going really, really well, and for 30 seconds of the meeting, you guys were having coffee outside, and the attorney said to you, oh man, the sky is purple. Would you, even if everything else went well, would you hire that attorney? Obviously not. You'd think he's out of his mind. That's the problem for me with some of these decisions. Some of these decisions are so bad that it makes me it damages their credibility that significantly with me. Like the fact that they thought Wakanda Forever without T'Challa was a reasonable thing to do is crazy. The fact that they are doing Shalabal instead of Norrin Rad is crazy.
I agree. I think it's insane. And these were, and like with the Shuri one, I can live with personally. Because I just understand given the circumstances, like it's a dumb decision, but like whatever. I still think it's stupid to push Shuri in Doomsday, and I will stand by that. And I still do think that we should have had some type of positioning to a new T'Challa. I just don't think that was smart.
I don't even mind her being in Doomsday. I just think T'Challa needs to be there. Like, she could be in Doomsday. I have no problem with that. And I think it kind of makes sense for her to be in Doomsday because she was the main character in Wakanda Forever. Yeah. But you still need to have T'Challa in that movie.
Exactly. And that's my issue, bro. I don't want her to, and when you read the new Avengers comics, like she technically is the queen. Sorry, go ahead.
And real quick, I think that it's kind of important to have her in the movie because I think a lot of fans who really do care about the diversity and more female-led roles, especially as heroes, they care about that. And I care about representation. I think we have enough female characters that are great. Like I'm not, super extreme with it. But even though I don't agree with them and I'm not on the same page politically as them, I think in the interest of the best interest of the MCU is to not aggravate fans, especially in political ways. I think I'm consistent on that. I say that the MCU should do right by the left and the right. And I wanted to make sure people understood that I'm consistent on that because very few people are. So I do think it's important that Shuri is in Avengers Doomsday. But again, like you can include her, but it makes no sense without T'Challa.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like because in the comic, like when you're reading new Avengers, like Shuri is the queen. You know what I mean? She's the one that's kind of making a lot of the moves, and she does make a grave mistake that we won't. I don't feel like going into.
Yeah.
But I like kind of where T'Challa is in that story because like he kind of has the power of a king. You know what I mean, but like he's kind of doing his own thing, and he doesn't have to worry about being the worrying about the government and all that stuff because Shuri's kind of handling the operation.
War and the war between Atlanta and Wakanda, he was still moving like a king.
Bro, when he freaking sneaks him in and he's like, look, after this, I'm going to kill you. Like, bro, I'm like, say more, bro. Say more. And that's why I hope that, like, with this multiversal, like, if they do a multiversal version, I hope that, like, he looks at Namor and then it's just instant hate. Like maybe, like, the Namor from his Earth, they already had their beef and it's just instant, like, they just get into a quick battle. That would be awesome.
Just eyes him down immediately.
Yeah, just on sight.
Yeah,
I hope we get something like that. And bro, I will say this, man, Jerry, if it is Damson Idris, your W is about to be.
Yeah, bro, I've lost count of my big W's.
Yeah, your W. And by the way, I have that video saved in my personal YouTube playlist from when you first has said it. So I'm just waiting. Yeah, I'm just waiting on. I'm just waiting on that day so I can repost that video.
Yeah, blast it everywhere.
Oh yeah, for real. Because you called it. You called it before all the fan arts and stuff. You did.
Yeah.
You did. So, but yeah, that's gonna be lit. But yeah, Kugler, man, we really hope you recast T'Challa. I think it's in the best interest for the brand, for kids. And like, I just don't think if you do Black Panther 3 with Shuri, I don't think it's going to be successful. I don't.
Yeah. People rejected Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And you have to don't pull a Star Wars and be like, it didn't work this time, but it's going to work this time.
Facts. Oh my gosh, I got so excited to talk about this. I forgot to type the freaking Loki. Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
Let's just go over this while I type it. Okay, so Aaron Pierre, so he was seen with set photos, and I really want, and for some reason you and I didn't even text about this. I think, but I did want to see your opinion on these set photos because they're very interesting. Let me pull it up real quick. So
I don't think I've seen them.
So this was the set photo of Aaron Pierre of Lanterns. And he doesn't have his ring on his finger at all.
Oh, I've seen these.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts? Because I never asked, like, what were your thoughts about it? Like, was it anything wild or?
No, it's all right. I am really wanting to see the cosmic scale and setting of this and more of the ring. But I wasn't expecting to see that from leaked set photos. So, but it's just like the only two photos we've seen seems like this is going to be a lot of practical TV type stuff. But because it's lanterns, I'm expecting a lot more. And I don't think it's fair to go off of these photos and then the first look photo only, because obviously there's going to have to be a lot more special effects and everything like that, and we haven't seen anything. So I don't think it's fair to judge on what we've seen, and based on what we know obviously about Green Lantern, we should be expecting much more.
Yeah. And my opinion on this, bro, was like, I do like how, they are trying to explore different ways, I guess, of like making this work. I am hyped to see kind of like John. I just want to see what's happening. Like, is this town a place that he grew up in? Is this a memory? Did he get his ring taken away from him? It kind of opened up a lot of those doors for me. Because I know, like, I do want to see the ring and stuff like that. But I do think it's fun to show how useful the character is without their rings as well. I just don't want like a Arrowverse thing where like we barely see them in the costumes like until the end. I would get very mad if they did something like that. Like, I do want to see them suiting up a lot. So we'll see, man. But Aaron Pierre does look like him though, dude. Gosh.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. So yeah, man, I'm really happy to see Mr. John Stewart back. Okay. Let's read his chat real quick. Let's see. Not gonna lie, how do you get Aaron Pierre as Green Lantern and not do a movie? I mean, his rising star power would have boosted the excitement hype. Bro, we literally talked about this last week, bro. I wish they did that instead of Supergirl, man.
The thing about these things with movies and shows is that the DCU is like, they are establishing themselves. That's the phase they're in. And the impact is made in the movies.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and I agree with Stevie that the Lanterns movie would have been a much better move than Supergirl. And another point that I thought about just now is that, like, why are we doing a Supergirl movie after a Superman? Like, it just isn't that a little too similar? Like, that's like doing Hal Jordan movie and then a Jon Stewart movie.
100%. Well, you could just had them both.
Yeah, and especially with like, well, I don't think they should have combined Supergirl with Superman, but with the comparison, it's just like you wouldn't do that. You would want to give someone else new and fresh. So,
What also is weird too, bro, is Millie Alcock is a TV star, is a series star, like from Game of Thrones. So it would have been perfect to put Supergirl into episodic format. Like Aaron Pierce coming off of Mufasa, bro, which is a big success, and Rebel Ridge and some other projects he's been in. So it's shocking to see that they're doing that. But I'm happy that he signed on. Obviously, Aaron Pierce sees the vision. So that's all that matters.
As long I don't know much about Millie Alcock. I don't think I've ever seen her or anything.
Yeah. She was the young version of Rhaenyra in House of the Dragon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. She that was like her first big, like super big role.
Right.
It would be like a Batman movie and then a Nightwing movie.
Yeah, it's stupid. Exactly.
All right, so Tom Hiddleston almost said Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston talked about Loki returning in Doomsday, and this is what he said. It's been an extraordinary chapter of my life playing Loki, and it's not over yet. So shout out to Tom Hiddleston. By the way, he's been doing this play with Haley Atwell, which was funny because he was kind of like humping her Captain Carter like pop card, whatever. It was so funny. I was laughing so hard. But I am hyped to see Loki back. Obviously, I believe he's going to face off with Doctor Doom in some way. He's holding all the timelines together. I am excited to see what they're going to do with that. And the Loki show was amazing and great. Obviously a lot of fans want Thor and Loki to reunite. I think there's a chance that they might not, bro. I think Thor just might see his dead corpse for real. I ain't gonna lie.
I love that he's coming back. I think his character development in the MCU is one of the best we've ever seen. It's interesting though, because no one talks about Loki anymore because again, the impacts are made in the movies.
Yep.
And I'm not saying listen, I want more shows because I want stuff to watch more MCU and DC content, but I would like to see Thor and Loki reunite. Obviously, it would be different considering the character development, but they should be using Loki more because, like, he is the best multiversal story they've told in the entire multiversal saga. So, hopefully he has something to do with the incursions and Doomsday and Secret Wars and all that.
Do you think that, and this is just this like speculation talk here, do you think that him holding the multiverse together right now is making him stronger? Like do you think Doom is just going to scorch him, or do you think if him and Doom do encounter, it could be a worthy battle?
I don't know if it's going to make him stronger. I think if anything, it might make him weaker because he'll be tired from holding it together, but I could be wrong. And I still think Doom would wash the floor with him.
Yeah. He's about to get it in the worst way, bro.
Yeah. But it's interesting because, we learned that the Beyonders were the ones that really set off the incursions.
Yeah.
And we don't really know how the incursions were set off in the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw some theory of maybe like some people think that Loki is going to take the place of the Beyonder and Doom's going to take the power from him instead of the Beyonder, since Loki is like kind of in control. But
it's possible.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. By the way, that show was great.
Theorizing that they're going to skip the Beyonder.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that, bro. I think the Beyonders are going to be in this. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, that's freaking awesome.
I don't know. I think they might. I think it could go either way. I think they might want to use a character that's already established.
Fair.
And bro, they did Infinity War without Death and without Adam Warlock. So,
true.
That's what makes me think that it's 50-50 and they could skip the Beyonder.
It would just be funny because like Thanos yeeted Loki and now Doom is going to. It's like, win, man.
Right.
They did it because they had a script and I guess it wasn't enough for a TV show. I think you're talking about Supergirl.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean you got to make everything a movie, man. Like, we're not. Yeah.
It's just not a good strategy because we're going to see a Superman movie and then a Supergirl movie. Like, they should have created some variation. And it could have been a Green Lantern movie. It could have been a Wonder Woman movie. There's so many other characters they could have used Flash, Aquaman. I don't know, but I don't think like it's not going to feel fresh and new seeing a Supergirl movie when it's the second DCU movie we're seeing after the Superman movie.
I think Superman or Supergirl could have been treated like the way Captain Marvel was in between Endgame and Infinity War. Like that was a good movie to watch right in between like those films. Like I think you could have put Supergirl for her to play a role to push the story further like that. I just don't think that's a good second movie, man. Yeah. I really do worry about that flopping, bro. I really do. And it is because I don't think the movie is going to be bad, but I am very interested to see how they're going to sell it, though, bro. I really am interested because that's a lot of Krypton stuff going.
Yeah.
I heard that the Fox X-Men and Doomsday is a variant version of the Fox X-Men post Days of Future Past. Could you actually see this? No, I don't. I think. Sorry, what were you saying, brother?
I'll let you finish.
I think this is a team that we've just never. I think this is just a new team that we kind of never seen before. I don't really think they want to. I don't think they're going to rehash. Kind of like how we got Wolverine, and kind of how Wolverine was not the Logan at all. It was just a random Logan from another U. I think that's the same thing with the X-Men.
So you kind of do agree that that's what he said. It's a variant version of the ones we saw. He's saying it's not the Fox X-Men. It's another universe variant version.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, bro. I thought you said it was the X-Men Days of Future Past. Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Let's read that.
I agree with both of you. I think that they're going to, like, that's what they did in Multiverse of Madness. That's what they did in Deadpool and Wolverine. And I 100% think that's what's going to happen. I would bet the house on it.
Yeah, that'll be smart.
Yeah.
Maybe Superman and Supergirl heavily connect together. That could be a plus when setting up a universe. I don't know, but they're using the Woman of Tomorrow story, which means like she's gonna be space traveling a lot. So it's gonna be very different from what we've seen for what we're gonna see in Superman. It's
stupid.
Yeah, I feel like James Gunn has a reason for placing these two as the first movies. He definitely does. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
If anything, they might use the Watchers instead of the Beyonder. Oh, I hope not, dude. I'm so sick of the Watchers, bro.
I would like to see them do something with the Watcher. I like the Watcher, but it's not in the Watcher's character to set off the incursions, because the Watcher's whole thing is that he doesn't interfere.
Facts.
Yes, there are times where he breaks the rules, and those are the times we see him, because obviously he's only really interesting if he does break the rule. But to break the rule and set off the incursions is crazy.
Facts. You're not wrong. All right. Now we're going to talk about the Wolverine video game. Okay. So before we get into this, do you have any interest in the Wolverine game?
Yeah, I am hyped for the Wolverine game. I like Insomniac. I have some concerns about it, but I am hyped for it.
Okay. So here's some news on it. Insomniac gives an update, nothing too crazy. And it's funny because they actually responded to a fan. Excuse me. We are actively working on it. We'll share news about the game when we are ready to share it. We can't act on everything requested when things take time, resources, and the green light to share them. So obviously there was a massive leak of the Wolverine game that came out months ago where we saw
multiple times.
It was actually ridiculous. We saw Jean Grey gameplay, like it was actually crazy.
It was more than that was like a year ago.
It was a year ago? Damn.
Yeah.
Time's flying, brother. Gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, they dropped and it was a hack, right? Like I'm pretty sure somebody hacked it.
There was so much of it. It was like there was so much footage of gameplay. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna lie, like the one gameplay that stuck in my mind is the one where he's like in the forest or whatever, and he's kind of sneaking around. Oh, and the way he dives in, bro, it's so fire, bro.
It looks good.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to play. But yeah, it's a good thing that Insomniac is giving us an update on it. I'm just excited to see some official gameplay, the costume combos, all that stuff. So
I was worried it was going to be canceled after all the leaks. I really was.
100% agree, bro. 100% agree. So, all right. Now, guys, we have about 2 more topics, then we're going to get out of here. So Luke Skywalker, he's rumored to be in Ahsoka season 2. And so just to give a quick rumor about what's going on. So the rumor is apparently that this is kind of a big deal because you're announcing that Padme's coming back, Anakin's coming back, and now you're bringing back Luke Skywalker, and apparently him and Ezra are going to go to Dathomir and do stuff. How do you feel about them trying to bring back like the whole gang?
I hate it. I hate it so much. I think that what was so cool about the first season was that it felt fresh. It had some Anakin in it, who Anakin and Darth Vader is my all-time favorite Star Wars characters, so like I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But the World of Worlds, Balin Skull, like all of it felt fresh and new and rich in deep lore, and like now they're just going back to the Skywalker stuff. Like, what the hell, man?
I agree. Now I do think that I ain't gonna lie. I don't like what they're doing with Luke Skywalker, more so because they should have did a separate Luke Skywalker project right after Mando season 2. That like fans love that. I love that. I cried at that scene, and they built the kind of excitement for it. And so I don't like how they just try to shoehorn Luke Skywalker in everything. I just don't think that that's fair to do Luke like that as a character. I also think that the Ahsoka show in general had stuff that, and you basically just said this already. Like they have things going for them already, and it feels like they might be adding Luke just to like make just a bait, just a nostalgia bait. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I just don't think that's cool. Like,
so cool,
I'm already bought into Balin Skull, bro. Like, I'm already bought into Ahsoka and Thrawn, like a freaking like this smart guy that's blue skin, and he's like this master war general. Like, I'm already sold, bro. And then you bring back Anakin as his Force god, basically. Like, I'm already sold on the story. Why do you think you have to, add all this stuff?
It's so annoying, and like this is why I just can't stand Star Wars anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
they do it to themselves.
100%. The only movie I have faith in right now is this Sean Levy film with Gosling. I think that's
that does sound cool.
Now, and while we're on that, we might as well end it with this. So Jesse Plemons is rumored to be the Star Wars villain for the Ryan Gosling Star Wars film with Sean. So, and you're a fan of his, right?
Yeah, he's a great actor. I think he'll do a great job. I think he's gonna have a way of coming across really menacing. So I think this was a great move. I think it's really cool when they take an actor that and you don't really necessarily know them for the type of role that they're taking, but they're super talented and you could see them take it on. And I feel like that's what's kind of going on with Jesse Plemons, which, by the way, not so different from what happened with Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, Batman. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't see him as that." He's never done it. It's like he's obviously super talented. He's just never really been given the chance to do something great, and here it is, and he did. So I kind of see Jesse Plemons in a similar light because I think the guy's super talented, and I always liked him, and I think that he will use his talent and skill and excel as a Star Wars villain.
Something that I want Star Wars to take a break from is masked assassins. I want like an alien villain.
I like the masks. I think they're kind of cool, but I can see what you're saying. Like everyone needs the mask, and I know they like the masked villain from The Acolyte just looked silly.
Yeah, exactly. It was so whack. It was so whack. Yeah. And then they made his power level so insane. It's like you had to do that because you knew the suit. So you knew And by the way, that's a $300 million show. By the way, guys, movies don't even get that kind of a budget.
They flushed that down the toilet. They flushed Snow White down the toilet. You know who had a really cool mask though? Was Kylo Ren.
one of the best costume designs ever for
bro. He looked sick,
bro. That's probably one of the biggest fumbles in Star Wars. That is, I think that's the biggest fumble in Star Wars history. Kylo Ren.
Yeah. He was.
Why would you kill him off and not Rey? It's kind of crazy.
So dumb.
Like, because if you killed off Rey and made Kylo Ren the hero, that might have saved the movie.
They would have never done that, especially at that time.
Mm-hmm. And now Adam Driver is like just done with Disney, bro.
Yeah. I can't. You can't even blame him.
No, 100%. Hey, man, John. Yeah, John is done too. I don't really like what John said though, man. John tried to blame.
He said. So I didn't see what he said. What did he say?
He really tried to blame. So
I saw he said something, but I didn't actually read what he said.
So basically, like my guess is he had a bad experience with fans, but he was just saying like racist fans are the reason why he's not still Star Wars. And I'm like, bro, every creator wanted you to stay.
Yeah.
Every creator wanted John Boyega to be the center of the freaking trilogy. I mean, just saying. So, and that kind of upset me because, like, dude, like, and this just feeds the point. Like, some of these guys, they are not online, bro. They do not see what these people are saying. Because I know so many creators, even Slav, he wanted John to be like the center point of Star Wars of those three films. He said that too. So it's like, John, come on, man. And one of my biggest pet peeves, bro, is race baiting. I can't stand when people race bait. Definitely in movies. It gets me so angry. So, all right. Let me see some comments here. I think the X-Men team is going to be a mix of all the incarnations, a little from each adaptation. How are they going to do Supergirl with space traveling and not Green Lantern? Facts. I do think we're going to get some space in Green Lantern, though. I hope so. You're talking about. If the Batman 2 does not begin filming this year, is this going to lead you to believe that Brave and the Bold will be the October 27th, 2027 Batman movie? Saffron words are so stuck in my head. I'll be honest, bro. I do not have an answer. I don't know about Batman, bro. But didn't Pattinson say, bro, that they were going to film this year? Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He said they start filming in the fall. So hopefully everything gets done because the script is being written still. So we'll see what happens. So, all right, y'all. We're gonna end the show here. Hope you guys have a great night. We're gonna up our content, so I'm hyped for you guys to see more clips going out and more TikTok. By the way, yo, follow Jerry on TikTok, bro. He's actually putting out some really good content. I need you guys to watch this. Watch his Iron Man theory. His Iron Man theory videos has been my favorite ones so far. So please watch that, John, and it's going to and please leave a comment too. So you have a great night, guys, and peace out.
Peace.